Oh, welcome to episode 61 of the Switchmania Playcast.
The showcase-isode.
Where evolution is key.
Is it though?
It might.
Interesting. And also where I hear bleeding audio of two people talking at the same time. My goodness. Hopefully this episode will be a little less chaotic than episode 60. That'd be nice.
It's always good to have hope.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, looks like we're going to have beeping in the middle of this on the Playcast because I record the desktop audio for everyone listening. And I'm going to have people messaging me consistently. As I just had a message on Skype and it's like, bloop. It's going to be doing that all recording. Oh, Premium Edition's crazy.
We never stop working for you.
Yeah.
That's our motto. We don't stop.
I probably haven't spent time with my wife since Sunday. It's great.
Yeah.
More time with JP on the phone than with my wife.
I know. There's a problem with spending more time with you, Jeff, than anybody else.
Oh, yeah.
Shanna's waving in the background. I go, hi. I see you in a few weeks.
Yeah. We got a few more weeks, everyone, for the pre-orders from Super Blood Hockey, and that'll be behind us, and then I'll still be working because I got to get this game out.
Yeah. And it's crazy. We had a big week. We announced our release date that we are aiming to shoot for, which is December 7th. So it feels more real now that you can look at the calendar and know that Super Blood Hockey is going to be on its way soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm already working with Nintendo to get the physical created. So, like, I know people were asking in forums and stuff that we would see online. They're like, are you going to make enough to make the game? I'm like, we're already making the game. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what the question is. Like, I don't know if people think that you got to sell, like, 5,000 copies to do a 5,000 copy game. You don't have to. Like, we just make the game. And
That's true.
That's very true.
Yeah, like, it's okay.
And it feels good. It's, we always knew the game's being made and it's being made, and it's a nice feeling. We're around the halfway point of the open pre-order. So September 22nd is when pre-orders close. So go to premiumeditiongames.com. But it's been a fun ride so far as, we start to develop our community around the company. So Barry, maybe you could talk about that because I know you're on Discord a lot, and I see a lot more people every day joining.
Yeah, we've been actually really great on Discord. A lot of people coming in, showing their collections, asking for, like giving game suggestions, and just talking video games, talking Premium Edition. A lot of people are, asking questions. They're curious, especially as a starter company, and we just do our best, all of us, to answer those questions and to be transparent, which is what we said when we started. And a lot of people have thanked us. It's been really appreciative that we've been so open with the information, and we're just trying to keep a great community in there just for people who love video games, not necessarily even the Switch. Just if you want just love video games, be there and be a part of it, and we're welcome to have you. It's awesome.
Absolutely. And as always, thank you to everyone who has pre-ordered the game or has checked out our website, talked to us on social media. Just thanks for even just watching the direct when we announced on August 11th. It's been fun so far. I mean, all of us haven't been sleeping at all, and it's completely worth it. Like, that's the feeling that I have, is that this is a passion. It feels amazing to finally be doing this, and I've been loving every minute of it.
So JP, should I do the part of the Playcast where I make you super nervous because the business is going a mile a minute? Should I do the Switchmania spoilers section for Premium Edition games? Spoil something?
Yeah, spoil it.
Where I make it nervous is we've had like a million things happen every week. It's like crazy. So one thing that we've been criticized on, now JP knows where I'm going.
I'm like, okay, I can breathe. I know what you're
One thing we were criticized on was obviously the shipping. And, the first week we looked and we're like, oh my goodness, it's like put 16 ounces instead of 12 ounces. And when we put it down to 12 ounces, it opened up a whole new shipping option. However, that only helped out domestic United States shipments. JP said we were looking into something. We haven't announced it, nor will we announce it like online, but those of our loyal listeners to the Switchmania Playcast. So basically, we now have an official partner that is going to do international and Canadian shipping for the same price as domestic, so like $5. I think $5.70 maybe. I think that's what they were saying. So essentially, when we announce it, every single international backer will be able to get the same affordable shipping as everybody in the stateside, and it covers the Diamond Dallas Page DDP, as well as any other craziness. The only thing we may not be able to predict is like there's certain like United Kingdom like areas that charge some random thing, but like we're gonna look at mitigating that too. We're going with a really seasoned distributor, and so it should be a really exciting partnership as we continue to promote and evolve as a company.
Yeah, and I will say, so for those of you that have pre-ordered already and are wondering what that means for your order, we will be putting out a newsletter. So everybody who had made a purchase, you'll be getting an official update from us through email and on social media once everything is announced, and we'll explain exactly how you can go about adjusting your order. So if you did end up still taking a chance on us and paying that high shipping cost, we will be taking care of everybody.
We will take care of you.
Yeah, so have no fear. It does.
JP is
your
here.
Order will be adjusted. Exactly. All three of us are here.
Have no fear. JP is here. We're good. Yeah, like, and the thing is that like we always want everybody to know, like, yeah, we're listening, and if we can fix something or adjust something or look into something, we will. We honestly did not have this opportunity before we launched. Like, this came about because we launched, because we put ourselves out there, and we're starting to get a lot of sales. So then we were contacted, we looked into it, and we're like, oh yeah, this is a no-brainer. This is great. Now, they will be the exclusive way to buy games from us internationally and in Canada. So just be cognizant, like, you won't be able to actually buy them from us, but there will be a link. Don't worry. So if you go to our site, there'll be a link to where you can buy it. And vice versa. If you go to their site, there'll be a link to get to us if you're domestic and in the U.S. So it'll be perfect. And they'll be working with us for every release. So even when we get to Pigeon Dev here shortly, it'll be fun.
I'm excited. This is something that from day one, the minute that we launched, we had people in our community, reaching out to us about this, and all three of us, we've been working, I will say, tirelessly to get this resolved, especially during the pre-order window. So I'm really glad that, we're essentially about a few days away from being able to just, lay out everything, announce it, and then we can update our website and just move forward. And then, the future releases become a much smoother process as well. So thank you for everyone for being patient and for giving us your feedback, because we always are listening, as Jeff said. I will say the other really fun thing that happened this past week is that we started our interviews.
No. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we had Sean Daly, the composer for Super Blood Hockey. Barry had done a written interview and a video interview that will be going up shortly on our website and on YouTube. But right now on the website, you can read the written interview. And Sean's a great guy. Like, I got a little sneak peek at the video interview, and it was fantastic. I love learning, the behind the scenes and the motivation and the inspiration of these individuals in the video game community, and especially on the game that we're publishing physically. I just think it's so great to learn more. So, Barry, great interview, and
of course, like, it's like he did the music, but also he's a comic book artist, and it's exactly why we have the Switch case that we use, the case art. Like, we didn't use the traditional case art that everybody saw that was on the icon and all the marketing that Digerati did. We used a different case art, and people are like, well, why did you use the different case art? Well, here it is. Like, he
Yep.
did the art. It's a comic book artist. Like, it's amazing. It's an awesome
yeah.
opportunity. And, like, I even had Digerati. They're like, why didn't you use our normal thing? And I'm like, the musician is an artist. Like, that is awesome. And we're absolutely still going to use the Digerati art on the front of the manual. So then you're going to have that NES horizontal manual with the head-to-head, the really awesome marketing art that Digerati did as well. So, like, we're going to hit all the different aspects. And then, of course, the slipcase done by Paul Niemeyer is just icing on the cake. It just looks amazing.
Yeah.
My goodness. My goodness.
That's what I like about our releases, that there's so many points where you have different art. We don't ever need to, not that we would want to, but we don't even need to reuse art because there's so many opportunities and so many different pieces of our physical release that just warrants new art and new design. So I think that's I'm really looking forward to seeing it because I think it's going to look fantastic.
And I mean, one of my things as the creator that I am, as I design all the books for Hagen's Alley and all that stuff. Like, when we do our deluxes, there's even more art opportunities. I'm not one to just like repeat the art on another box. Like, if we have an NES box and a Switch case and a steel book and a card and a manual and a patch and I said patch and a sticker. I literally, none of those are going to be the same. Like, the sticker will probably be like a logo, but like,
Yep.
I mean, we will have unique art for all of the pieces, especially when there's history and you have like artists and developers, and the developers are artists, and like there's opportunity to just have really cool releases. And I mean, to me, having the same box replicated multiple times just kind of misses the point. I don't know about you guys.
No, I like that we're able to have all the different art pieces because there are so many images and artwork done for these games that why wouldn't you want to use them?
Yeah, I agree. It's I like it when a game has like the slipcover is different than the cover art, especially going into the manual as well, and to be able to tap into Schwann's talents as well. It really brings it, full circle.
Yeah.
Wait, Barry, did you call him Schwann? Schwann, like Schwamma?
This is the Avengers now, right?
Schwann hangs out with Mario. Oh. Hey, I did hear the best thing to make fun of you East Coast New Jerseyans about the way you say Mario.
Yes.
Mario literally says, "It's a me, Mario," on Mario 64.
Oh, he's got an accent. What do you expect?
Shots fired. Mario literally pronounces his own name as Mario.
Well, we can't help it. He pronounces it wrong. I mean, they record it once. What are you going to do?
It's a me, Mario.
Because I always like my, where I go against the speedrunner community, including 8-Bit Steve, who did the Friday 13th book, where they say Ninja Gaiden. I'm like, they literally in the Wizard say Ninja Gaiden!
It's Ninja Gaiden. There's no two
they
ways about that.
They all call it the Gadians.
Ninja Gaiden and Super Mario. So,
No and no. Oh my. But yeah, like,
Good
so
old Mario
you're half right. It's okay.
Thank you. I'll take it.
50% is still better than none.
That's right.
But there's no way it's Schwann. No Schwanns here. Hey, it's a combination of Switch and Schwann.
So, one thing that I'll tease that I don't even know Jeffrey knew I was going to say, and I won't give anything away, but I will say, if you watched our Direct, you know that we announced 3 games, right? We have Super Blood Hockey, we have Pigeon Dev Collection, and a robot named Fight that we said summer.
I thought we said 6 games. I don't know.
6 games, 3.
6
but
games.
there are games coming out in between Pigeon Dev and a robot named Fight, and I'm very excited because the plan is to do another Direct to announce them, and I have a feeling it's probably going to be coming sooner than later. So I'm really excited about that because we have we're building a really nice lineup for 2021, and I'm excited. I don't know about you guys, but I am very excited about the titles that we have been talking with and signing as well. So,
I mean, Barry, JP missed the point. I said 6 games because Pigeon Dev's a 4-pack. Man,
Yes.
Okay.
shaking my
I
head
didn't
at
get it. I'm
JP.
sorry. So for the first time ever, on the back of our case, it's literally going to be like 2 through 4 or 2 through 5. We'll just knock them all out at once.
Yeah, we go. We cheated. We got 5 games in our first year.
That's right. Hey, we did say we're only doing 1 a quarter. Well, does that mean we can only do the Pigeon Dev for an entire year? I think that's how we do it now. We're not releasing them individually, people. like if we can release games on a multi-cart, we absolutely will, because it just makes sense.
And that's
us,
one thing.
Like, it's just cool.
Yeah, that's just one thing we love. I mean, if you can, why wouldn't you want to? I mean, you just add more value, have more options for, the gamer. You pop it in, and you're not just stuck with just one game on the cart now. You get your choice. And I think that's amazing, and we don't see enough of that. So I'm glad that, we get to really start that here, and hopefully continue it as well.
So, JP, before we get into the news, I think
Yes.
you did a perfect segue to our game of the episode, which is a double pack.
Yes, it is.
Oh, you let us into it. Yeah, we will definitely get to news, everyone, and definitely leave us a 5-star rating, but that was too good of a transition from JP to not take that. Like 16 minutes in, and we're actually going to the game. Everyone's like a record.
Boom.
JP is now above 50%, even after losing it with the missed opportunity of the 4-pack.
Keep track of my score.
It's like a
Let's see how it
fluctuating
goes today.
ticker. Oh my. So, our game of the episode is the Evil Land Legendary Edition, which is a 2-pack classic indie game release by Super Rare Games.
Oh, yeah.
And it was published by and developed by Shiro Games, Evil Land 1, and Evil Land 2. They had multiple directors and programmers and artists involved with it. And I would like to go over them all. So the game was designed by Nicholas Canesi and Sebastian Vidal, programmed also by Nicholas. The artists were Teen Makowski and Jeremy Vitry. And then it was also written by the designers and composed by Camille Chonel. So I'll just mispronounce their names. But I would like to go over the teams, because as we're creating games, there's a lot of cool people behind the games. Mm-hmm. And if I mispronounce your name and you're part of this team, feel free to call me out on social media. Evil Land 2 was developed and programmed and directed by Nicholas again, but there was an extra programmer in there, Bernard Stools, and there were some extra artists like Anna Mamar and Lucille Lacoste. So you had some good female artists in there as well for the second one. So let's go over what these games are. Evil Land 1 is an action RPG by a French video game company based in Bordeaux. Released in April of 2013, which is crazy it was that long ago. Design retraces the history of video games, inspired by classics like The Legend of Zelda, Diablo, and Final Fantasy. Game has many references to movie and video game history. And this one, JP was calling it this before when we were chatting. He calls this the appetizer to the games. And we're just going to talk about Evil Land 1. I'm only setting the wallpaper for 1, even though we talked about the developers for both. Sure. Evil Land is based on the concept of tracing the evolution of video games. When the player begins his or her adventure, there are only 2 colors: big, simple pixels, and a 2D character. Through the adventure, the player, gradually unlocks new graphics, technologies, gameplay mechanics, and eventually reaches the high-definition age in a 3-dimensional world. This evolution in game of video game history is punctuated by the many references of classic role-playing games. It's interesting because there's action RPG phases as well as active time battles, like in Final Fantasy. You move through a world made up of dungeons, caverns, forests, villages full of non-playable characters. Players will collect in-game currencies like GLIS instead of gills. It's like gliss. After each battle, which can be spent in towns to purchase additional items, upgrades, many which must be obtained to finish the game. And upon completing the story mode, players can also attempt to find hidden stars cards that are scattered throughout the world, which can be used in a collectible card game, which is based on the classic Triple Triad, which was in Final Fantasy VIII, which is really cool. The game was developed during a game development conference. It's called Le Dum Dare. That is one of the many resources that I used when I'm always researching like the NES, Super Nintendo, Genesis homebrew scene, which is pretty cool. But basically in that competition, you have 48 hours to create a video game. So it was the theme of that whole 24th Le Dum Dare was evolution. So ironically, it's called Evo Land. and basically they won first place over 1,400 other participants. Wow. They won.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. Deserved.
Yeah. And basically it was really crazy because the player feedback was so encouraging that the game quickly reached over 300,000 players within a couple months. And the game is still playable for free on the Evoland website, the original game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's called
awesome.
The Evoland Classic.
Nice.
And then later on was ported to the Nintendo Switch, which we all know and love, released through Super Rare Games with the 2-pack. One of my favorite releases that Super Rare has done by far. Now, I will say that my memories of this game are quite spotty because I played this last year and I only spent this week playing Evoland 2. So we'll start with Barry. JP probably didn't play it either because we've been working on the company.
Also, Barry, before you go, I mean, when I played both of them right around the time, I think right before Final Fantasy VII Remake came out. I decided, you know what, I really want to try these games out. And so just really quick, I played through both of them, but I played it a while ago. I mean, this is a while ago. So I'm going to do my best to remember, you know, my gameplay experience on it, but I'll let Barry start because he's going to help refresh our memory.
Oh, he's going to refresh our memories, and I mean, I think I beat this game in like 2 to 3 hours max, whereas I'm probably a dozen or 2 hours in Evoland 2 and haven't even scratched the surface. So, like, it's crazy. Go ahead, Barry.
Barry, start us off.
Yeah, this is one of those rare games that you guys have played and I didn't.
It finally happened.
It did. It usually, you know, we had this early in the year. I would suggest games. I was like, no, stop suggesting games that you played that we haven't. Right. So this time it was like, no, we're gonna suggest a game that we already played. So we're doing Evoland, and I'm like, crap, that's one I haven't played. So I didn't mind it. I heard good things, and JP, you talked about it before, and you said it was good. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm just gonna go into it. So I started with Evoland 1, and like Jeff said, it was short. I think I beat it in maybe 3 hours, 3.5 hours, and it was very much an appetizer. But I really enjoyed what they did because it was so unique that it starts off where you can't really do much, and you slowly open up chests, and every time you open up a chest you gain a new thing. Like, you gain the ability to move right, you gain the ability to attack, you gain the ability to get color. And one of my early annoyances, like, you have no health. So like, you get hit once, boom, back to the title screen. And that started to get annoying because I was like, I'm trying to kill these enemies, and like they just moved and killed me. Like, and then finally opened up that chest. Like, you gained life. Now you don't die. Oh, thank God. Like,
get good, Barry. Get good.
Get good. So, yeah, I like the fact that it was actually it was really two different types of, well, it was more. More than two, but really mainly two. There were, Zelda was the huge inspiration for like this action RPG setting. And then you switch to a Final Fantasy turn-based strategy with an ATB system, and it goes between the two. And I always found it weird that like no matter how much you grind, like in the Final Fantasy segments, those levels don't carry into the Zelda segments. and the experience, you don't get any experience in the Zelda segments, so all those kills don't actually help your levels. So that was like one jarring thing. It was like I kind of wish they did communicate a little more, but it was really interesting to go like one area is like a Diablo section almost. I'm like, whoa, this is Diablo. Like even the health meter was the Diablo potion and the sound effects. I'm like, this is really cool. This took me by surprise. I didn't expect it to be this good. And yes, it's short and it's predictable. Especially with the names. I mean, they don't disguise your character's called Link. And it's like okay, and then there's your party members Ares, and I'm like okay, there's some Final Fantasy 7, and you get Cloud spelled differently, his sword. I'm like, oh, Buster sword. So I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing. This is cool. You get the pre-rendered background and the triple triad. I was like, oh man, like they really did a lot in this game, especially if this was part of this competition. You said done in a short amount of time. Very impressive.
Yeah.
And
sorry, keep going.
I was just gonna say like that to me just shocks me. I didn't know about that. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. There's a little extra bonus stuff too. Like you can tell they went a little above and beyond with the shorter game, because when you get to the end, they're like, oh yeah, you're at the end. You can go fight the final boss, but there's a few other little things you can go ahead and do, which I thought was a nice little touch. I just wish there was like at least a section where you could buy like the best equipment, but then when I went to the final boss, I realized it didn't matter because the gameplay style changed and the equipment doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
It's like whose line is it anyway? Game's made up and the points don't matter. I really liked when you get into the pre-rendered town and you have enough money and you can buy like the ability, what was it, the CD player? You can, because they purposely put like a loading time when you're transitioning between the areas of the town on purpose, like it's a PS1 game, but then you're able to buy an upgrade where you get rid of the loading time. And I love those little nods, like all the references, the homages. I thought were just fantastic. They're purposely done, and it just made the game more fun because you knew that they were enjoying what they were making.
I'm surprised no one, to be honest with you, it's a cool idea.
It is, and I really like the evolution of it. Like, as we all said, you start out in like the monochrome kind of world, left and right, up and down, and then you slowly expand. And it's just fun because it never allowed the game to be boring. I mean, for me, like you guys seem to just fly through it. I must have like spent a little time just like searching extra because I think I had about 5.5 hours when I beat the game. But to me, it was constantly moving, and that's what made it so fun because you're always excited to see like, okay, what's the next evolution of gameplay and video games that they're going to incorporate. And it was just exciting, and that's what drew me in initially because I knew the idea about the game when Super Rare had put it out, but I hadn't played it before. I even didn't play it when it first released from them, so it was still a little while, but it just intrigued me enough to just rip open the seal, put the cartridge in, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm hooked on the first one. Like it's a fantastic game.
Yeah, and we both ripped open the seal and opened the game, Barry. I heard you downloaded it.
Yep, I did. I wanted to open it, but the price on the second-hand market just went too high, and I looked at the eShop and it was on sale for $4.99. Okay. And I said, okay, $4.99. I'm just gonna download it at this point because I have the physical.
Yep.
If the physical was still like $30, I wouldn't have cared. I just would have opened it up and played. But unfortunately, the physical on this is just shooting up in value.
Well, Jack,
and now I understand.
with ours, he's gonna have to open up if he wants that challenge.
Yes, of course. That's a different story.
No, however you get this game, it's worth owning, whether it's digitally or physically. To me, I said it when I was tweeting about the game, but honestly, this is probably in the collection itself. 1 and 2 are in the top of my personal favorite Switch games. And recently when we mentioned what game we were going to be playing, I also said that George had put out another game that's in my top, which is The Gardens Between. And what's interesting is both of those games are not terribly long. Like Evil Land 1 and Gardens Between are about the 4 to 5 hours, but they're just so great. And I gotta say, he picks good games.
That's the funny thing is that like every time now that George posts a game from Super Rare, it's like you see criticism, but I'm like, have you not played some of these games? Because they're pretty solid. Like, I mean, I don't buy every title from any company, but I buy a lot of Super Rare. Like, I do. Like, it's some good stuff.
Yeah, not to go on a tangent, but like even old school musical, like I read about it and I had heard about the game, and then they announced it, so I watched the trailer and I go, wow, it's a rhythm based like RPG game where as you're doing you're matching the beats, the game is playing out. And I started playing it, and it's super fun. And I saw so much criticism because I think people looked at the cover or maybe just saw pictures of it and just immediately got their impression about what they think the game is. But it's a fun game, and that's what I like. His games are different.
Well, JP, you know the whole saying, don't judge a book by its cover. But
That's true.
Everybody judges a book by its cover. It's why it's a saying. So the thing is that people just need to start playing these games. It's why we're doing it on the Playcast. Love Evoland. Play it. Get it.
And
Get it for $5.
Not for a long time. And I'm really glad that, I was, able to do it now, because this is a game that I'm now recommending to other people. Like, you really need to play this.
Yeah, and what's really good is Shiro Games, I was tagging them, and they were, responsive and talking with me, and people commenting on the tweets. So that's just, it just kind of made me love the game even more, because it's like, when they're involved with the community, it's just, you feel that connection, even though you may never meet them and you may not talk to them past, like in these tweets. It's like, oh wow, like they're listening to the feedback and they're listening to people talking about their game, and I thought that was a nice thing also.
I mean, I could give a spoiler alert about premium edition games, but that's kind of one of the requirements for us to work with developers. You got to be cool. You got to be able to communicate with us, like for real. Like we haven't worked with Shiro Games, but like they would be a team that's a perfect example. Like they are super passionate, and we have like every developer that we're working with, they're all like really cool and awesome. And even all the teams, like, because some of the developers, there's digital publishers too, and all the digital publishers are cool too. Like it's a really fun community, and that's kind of why we're like, the Switch is the system to publish for. And it just shows that there's a lot of really talented people out there, and I don't think that there's enough games physically yet. We need more.
Absolutely.
What's your take on Evoland 1?
So I didn't remember a whole lot of this till you started to stem my memories, because it's been, like JP said, it was a long time ago. JP did play it like right around Final Fantasy VII Remake. So mine was like before I moved and stuff. So like it was a while ago. I just remember sitting down in one setting. I couldn't put it down. I played it. The couple hours that I put into it was in one sitting, one night, and it was amazing. I do like that it's, it was a singular experience with a single character. I liked more the 8-bit, 16-bit style, and then when I went to polygons, I'm like, no! Go back! And I actually, interesting is, like, a couple of Barry's wants for Evoland 1 are definitely in Evoland 2, and that's one of the coolest things, is that, like, even my request is like, oh yeah, there's time travel now, and I can get both styles, and there's a bunch of really cool aspects that, like, Evoland 1 evolved even further. I did like the walk through history, and basically it was like over so soon that I was really glad that there was a second game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree, because the first one, we call it the tech demo. The second one, that's the fully fleshed out RPG.
I didn't call it a tech demo. I called it an appetizer, JP.
Appetizer, yeah.
Get you hungry. Get you hungry.
I think what's crazy is I didn't realize how long the second one was, because I was at around...
No, I didn't either.
I was at like 15 hours, and I'm like, this is a long game. I'm like, the other one was only like 5 hours. I think I finished it at around 22, 23 hours. And the only reason that I was trying to speed up at the end was because Final Fantasy VII came out and everybody was, starting to talk about it. But there was so much in Evoland 2. I mean, when you talk about...
I still gotta lay the wallpaper, JP.
Oh, did I skip that? I'm just that excited.
Well, and so the crazy thing was, though, is that, like, so I did play a little Evoland 2 back when I played Evoland 1, and I probably put about 4 hours into it, and I was like, all right, that's pretty fun, and I stopped it in a good area. And so when I started it back up, I was like, sweet, I was playing it a little bit. This is after I finished Final Fantasy VII Remake myself, which I finished much later, after Xenoblade and everything. And it was interesting because I was like, oh yeah, we'll just do Evil, because I was like, I got about 8 hours into it now. Like, we'll just do Evil Land for the week. And then JP did never mention it took him over 20 hours, and I'm like, oh no! Like, I only got the weekend to play. Like, I'm working, and I got to do a bunch of premium stuff. So like, I got pretty dang on far, but like, I'd say that when I lay the wallpaper.
Yeah.
All right, so Evil Land 2, A Case of Space-Time Continuum Disorder. It was released in 2015, and is the direct sequel to Evil Land 1. It's again an action RPG with tons of different gameplay styles and genres, as JP already spoiled. Classic JP. It was released in February 2019. Is in the pack. Evil Land 2 is the spiritual successor to Evil Land, which means it didn't directly take after it, but then again, Evil Land was just a tribute. And the graphic style similarly change as the player travels through time, and its varied gameplay styles being revealed as the player moves through the storyline, which is really cool. Scenarios based on time travel and different gameplay styles that are linked to the story and players' actions. These gameplay styles play homage to older titles that inspired the developers, which is, you could really see like the different types of genres that they really liked. And this game also features a stronger emphasis on narrative than the first. You play as the character named Kuro, and he's an amnesic boy who is found by a girl named Fina. She has green hair. The two travel together and meet different characters, including the demon prince Minos and a researcher Velvet, with the ultimate goal of preventing the world's destruction and the end of time itself. You use relics known as megaliths, and Kuro and his party can travel between 4 different time periods, including present day, a past war, a dystopian future, and the era of an ancient civilization. Each historical setting is rendered in its own graphical art style, including Game Boy graphics, 8-bit graphics, 16-bit graphics, and 3D graphics. By jumping through time, players can change events in the past to alter history and affect the world in the future. The majority of the game's fighting system revolves around the real-time fighting from a top-down angle, which is your Zelda style. The game will often shift to new genres of play at predetermined points in the story, such as a side-scrolling platform game, a match 3 puzzle game, a turn-based RPG, which is absolutely inspired by Chrono Trigger, a vertically scrolling shoot-'em-up shooter, and a 2D fighting game, which was like gave me hand cramps, which was ridiculous. During the story campaign, players can also attempt to find hidden items scattered around the world, such as mana and Oricon ore, to upgrade Kuro and his party, and the stars that act as bonus collectibles. Additionally, there's a minigame involving cards that one can play as a side quest, and the players are able to collect new cards by finding them in chests and winning them from opponents. So if you beat them, you get the card. Ironically, as far as I got, because I'm not going to go into the plot, because, as far as I got, so I played it about, 8 hours or so. I never got to the spot where I could go between all 4 eras yet, like it didn't open up for me yet. Nor could I use my Oricon ore, because there's this place in the beginning of the game where you can use a blacksmith to upgrade some stuff. I'm like, ooh, let me save because I want this one thing. And I haven't gotten back to him yet. And I'm like, man, it's almost been like 10 hours and I haven't gotten back to the guy. I want to upgrade my stuff because I found a lot more ores now. So the spot that I'm at now, I just got past, because I didn't mention it in the gameplay synopsis, but I got past the Bomberman section. So there's a spot where you're literally dropping down bombs, and they get rid of your sword, and you're literally doing Bomberman. And it's like you meet basically a relative of one of the characters that disappeared, and it's really cool how the whole story fuses and floats together and everything. So I'm pretty far. I got past the I assume it's the first shoot 'em up section, and maybe it's the only. But the shoot 'em up section was super long too. I wasn't expecting it to be that long. That was cool though. I did like it. A lot of those extra graphical art styles, or not graphical art style, but the extra sections that have the different types of genres were like the 3D graphics, and I was hoping that you see the other genres in like Game Boy or 8-bit or 16-bit graphics. I don't know because I haven't gotten that far yet, but maybe you guys can enlighten me. Let's let Barry go since JP needs to get his mind refreshed too.
Yeah.
So I started this game thinking, oh, I just finished the first. It was like 3.5 hours. This is gonna be short. We're gonna do this. Boy, was I wrong. This, I think I finished it. Yeah, I think it came to around 16 hours, give or take. Yeah, I left it on a little bit, but it got complicated and crazy, and there were definitely some handicaps at the start, like Jeff mentioned, about like going between time. Like that really doesn't open up until later. You can only go between time by going to the Magiliths. It's not until the very end of the game that you can freely go around.
So I got a long time.
Yeah, and I did, like, there were times where like there's a lot of time puzzles where you have to do something in the past to affect the present, etc. And like you have to constantly go back. You have to find like which Magilith you really want to go to, and then you have to constantly go back there, and that kind of got a little tedious. I wish they let you freely go a little bit sooner than the very end of the game, and then really they give it to you at the end of the game just so you can go back and pick up lost stuff. But yeah, the story was very good. The characters were great. I loved the 8-bit style, and I loved the 16-bit style, and the Game Boy. And I loved the fact that it was time-based. So the present is 16-bit, and the past is 8-bit, and the far past is Game Boy, and then the future is 3D. But when I first got to the future, I actually had to stop playing for a bit because it made me sick. Because it's not a flat world. It's like on a globe. So as you move left to right, the whole world rotates. And it was subtle, but it was like enough to trigger a little bit of my vertigo.
See, I was never got sick from playing that game. That game was perfect for me.
I was like, oh man, like, I got used to it. Like it was just that initial, because the rest of the game is all flat, and now suddenly you go from flat to curved. But once I got past that, I'm like, all right, there's a lot to this game.
Barry can't evolve his own innards.
I can't. Like there's other gameplay modes too that press release didn't. There's a Fire Emblem style where you're going through turn-based strategy, controlling units. I was like, wow, this is like really crazy. The puzzle quest section, which you mentioned, the Bomberman. There's like one dungeon where you actually have to do things in the past, present, and future. Like you see that dungeon in all 3 versions, and you have to, do things in the past to affect the present, to affect the future, and vice versa.
It's like Oracle of Ages.
Very much like Oracle of Ages. Just a lot of cool things, and I didn't even get to the cards until like halfway through the game, and then I fell in love with the card game.
Oh, the card game was super cool. Like when they first initially introduced it, I just walked around the house or room it was in, and I was like just knocking out people. I'm like, oh, this is pretty easy. And then if you go to one of the more difficult ones, it's like, oh yeah, no, they're not holding your hand anymore.
Yeah, there's a lot of strategy. So my first question is, out of the 2 card games from each one, which one did you enjoy more?
Well, I always loved Triple Triad, but I think Evil Land 2's card game just was more fun overall.
Yeah. It was more streamlined. I enjoyed the second card game a lot more.
And I love that. I mean, that alone you could spend hours just playing. And I like that it really is a fleshed out card game. It's not just like a little like bonus thing that you kind of jump into. I mean, there's a lot of strategy behind the card game, and it adds another element to collecting the cards, on your journey, and then going back to the house or finding people along the way to battle. So it's fun when they have those additional games inside the main one.
Oh yeah, I was ready to finish the game, and I was like, I only have like 15 cards or something like that, and I really had fun doing that. So before even finishing, I spent another like 3 hours just searching, and I got all the cards. I was just like, I'm beating all the opponents. Like I just fell in love with it. So that tacked on like an extra 3 hours of gameplay, just because I was having fun doing that. Mm-hmm. There was one section though that there was another section that did turn my stomach. I don't think you got there yet, Jeff, but JP might remember. There's this section that's in between dimensions kind of deal, and the whole world constantly like, it looks like an old N64 tech demo where like hills rise and fall as you move. and it's straight like non-colored like wire graphics, and it's just really weird and trippy, and has a cool dimensional puzzle where you can go between
Showing
2D
your
and
age, Barry, that you're young, because we used to play that stuff like when, like those are like classic vector-based graphics.
No, this was not like we used to play. This was like it was supposed to be done as like a game level in development. Like that was the whole basis behind it. Like this was just still in development, and it was really cool. But it did start to get on me a little bit. But thankfully, you only go.
We're gonna change your name from No Time Barry to So Sick Barry.
So sick.
Tummy Tenders Barry.
So Sick Barry, Old Man Jeffrey, and Cool Guy JP. Okay, I like these names.
But yeah, I recommend this game way more than I thought I would. Like this shot up my top 10 RPGs for the system. Like that's how good it is. Way better than I expected.
Yeah.
What about you? Just from what do you remember?
Yeah, everything I remember about the game, I remember fully enjoying it. Just like the first one. I mean, the second one. You know what I would have really liked? A strategy guide. And I'm not saying that because we're doing Deluxe, but these are the games that I remember playing, and I'm like, a guide would be so helpful in certain sections. Because, I mean, it is fun to explore, and what may sound really odd and obscure to, like, RPG gamers is that I normally use a guide. So this is really, I'm not kidding you, like, 2020 is, like, the first year that I've been playing RPGs without a guide and just exploring. And I love doing it. Like, Evil Land 2 was one of those games. But there's sections where I got stuck, and I'm just like, okay, I'm playing I'm moving around the world, I'm going back and forth in time, and I would just get stuck sometimes. And for me, it's fun for a while, but then it gets frustrating because you're like, okay, I really want to progress the story, and I can't remember like who I talked to or where I need to go or even like what time period I have to be in. But outside of that, I mean, I thought the game was just insanely fun. I love all the different genres that they introduced really seamlessly, and everything just kind of just meshed really well together. I mean, these are those games where you really can just take everything in the kitchen sink and throw it into it, and it works so well. I mean, it really does. And the only thing that I hope for is that we see an Evo Land 3 at some point. Because I would love to see this kind of game continue to evolve, no pun intended. But I would love to see like what could they do next.
I'm going to agree with you on that, JP. There's very little to no hand-holding in this game.
Yeah.
And especially towards the end, you get a quest where you have to get 5 pieces.
Yeah.
And they pretty much these hints, these vague hints, but then send you on your way. And you have no idea what time period, where to go. And like I was stumbling upon them. I'm like, holy crap! Like this, I would like some kind of help on this. And there was a radar you could buy to help with chests and stuff, and it'll show you.
Did either of you use an online guide or anything?
I did at points.
Yeah, I did. Like same section 3.
I did
like,
not
that was...
yet. I never use a guide because like I feel like I want to just find stuff, and when I did look at the guide was literally at the end of my last weekend, and I'm like, oh, I'm not even halfway through the game. Like I'm not getting through this. Let me go back and work on Premium Edition.
And I will say there's not too many guides out there. Like I think I ended up having to use a Steam guide that wasn't entirely clear as well because it was the same section, Barry. It was those 5 pieces that I think like 1 or 2 were like fairly like obvious where you needed to go, and then the others it was a challenge. I mean, that's great. I mean, if you like a challenge, that game will give it to you. But for me personally, I was ready to be like, I've invested 20 hours into this game. I'm ready to finish it on a high note and then go to the next one. So yeah, that part I stumbled a little, but outside of that, I mean, if that's really my only fault is that the game makes you think, I think it's a pretty good game.
Yeah, I agree. Like even that part of the guide, I was confused. I looked it up, and that part of the guide was even confusing because it didn't even say like we're gonna go for this now. Here's how to do this. It was just like all over the place. I'm like, what is going on? But yeah, there's a lot of things that you're rewarded for going back and exploring things, and that's one thing that's really cool. So you really want to check not only every nook and cranny, but hey, I've already been to this town before, but I've done some other stuff. Go back because there might be an NPC there that you might have helped in another section, or you might have done something which changed that particular area. So when you go back, there's new characters there or new buildings there or whatever, and sometimes objects just appear. Like there's an upgrade system for your NPCs, your helpers, your party members, and like the third level is like super cryptic, especially one of them. To upgrade, you have to like go to a town and talk to everybody after you do a section in the past. You go to the past and you do a whole section. You go to the present, talk to everybody there, and you have to talk to everybody. Then you go to the future, and when you go there in the future, now there's a beam of light that will take you to where you can upgrade them. I'm like, wow, that is cryptic.
I think what's crazy is at the end of the game, they give you a percentage. I think I ended at like 74 or 76% completion. And I was just like, I felt like I did a lot. But I know I didn't upgrade all of the different.
About 75% of it, JP.
75?
Yeah, about 75%.
I tried myself 1% higher. No, but there was still a lot that I could have done. I could have upgraded everything, to the max level. I could have done all the cards, which is nice. It gives me a reason to jump back into the game at some point. But overall, I mean, fantastic 2 games.
I missed 2 stars. And I'm like, they're probably in some dungeon somewhere that I have to like go through, and I just don't really feel like doing it. So I got 99%. But
only 99%. So sorry.
No, well, the cards is what did it. Like without the cards, I would have been at 75%. I just fell in love with that game. I'm just doing it because I got 15 cards. Like I was nowhere near. There's 61 cards. Like there's a lot of cards, and the cards really make a difference. Like if you have like crappy deck. And there's no deck building. Like all 61 cards are in your deck, so it's 100% random what you get pulled. Yeah. So I found that kind of weird. I kind of wish you could have at least make a deck.
Yep.
But no, you were gonna get the starter cards or the end game cards, but because it's like a Magic style game, like Magic the Gathering. But what I think was really interesting, if you've ever played Magic before, you pull your starter hand and you have like a card that takes like 10 mana. You're like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to cast this for a while. This is sitting in my hand. In this game, you only get 3 cards per turn, but you have to get rid of your cards. So if you can't play it, you turn it into mana. So you can like, discard that 10 mana cost and get like 5 mana that now you could use to cast something else. And I thought that was a really brilliant way of just keeping the game flowing.
Agreed.
I'm surprised no one's thought of that beforehand, or if they have, I haven't seen it.
So Jeff, overall, what did you think?
Oh, I think it's the most known for the system. Like, it's a really cool game. I enjoyed it. Didn't cheat and use a guide like you two to get your high percentages, but that's okay. Thing is,
still got 75%.
Yeah, everybody enjoys gaming their own way. I like to do blind playthroughs though. That's just like what I like to do. Just because. But the thing is, realistically, I probably should use the guide, and I would have got further. Like, I mean, it is what it is. Because I don't have a ton of time to play games right now because my focus is elsewhere. But
I agree with you on the playthrough. It's just for me when I get to a point where I'm getting a little frustrated because I don't know what to do and I have no direction. That's when I'll pull up a guide.
That's when you cheat. Yeah. Well, fortunately, when we do our releases, you'll be able to cheat all day with our guides, which is by design. So we didn't really talk about what game we're going to do next, but JP, did you have a poll for this game? I think you did.
Yes, I did. So let me pull that up.
And I have a great idea because for a game, while you pull that up, sure. I figure since we're doing the releases, we should keep simple games instead of having 20-hour RPGs. I thought it was going to be easier. So the recommendation for next week is Dr. Kirishima's Brain Training.
Oh.
The rarest Nintendo published game because it didn't come on the US for some reason. Don't know why. But yeah. I'd say let's play that and let's see who is has the youngest brain at the end.
Okay. I like that. That's a good challenge.
All right, we can do that.
Yeah. And that means everybody that's listening too. Like see who has the youngest brain. You have to post pictures and tag us. Tag the Switchmania Playcast, and we'll see who's the youngest out of the community.
Yes. All right. So for the poll, I asked if who's played Evil Land 1 and 2, and if you have, comment, and we'll read it. So we do have some responses. We had 61 people take part in the vote. 36.1% of people said yes, they played the games. 63.9% said no. So as always, I hope after listening to our Playcast, you're going to go either buy it or download it and give it a shot.
$5 to download. Barry approved it.
So normally I would read the feedback, except the feedback was essentially, sorry guys, but what is this poll for? And then I explained what the poll was for. So we didn't. Really
I think you didn't put "Did you play it?" Like I think it was just like yes or no. That's all
I said comment below. Yeah, maybe I comment below. We'll read your replies on the show. After doing
read the replies. Did you? What is this for? What is this for? What is this for?
All right, sorry guys. What is this poll for? And I said each week on the Playcast we have our game of the episode. We do a poll to see who's played it already, and if you have, to leave some feedback on your thoughts. We then read the results and feedback on the show. So they said, "Hey JP, while I have you here, have you ever purchased games from Skybound? I have my Untitled Goose Game pre-ordered from them, but it looks like if I canceled it and pre-ordered from Amazon, I'll get it much faster.
I love it.
What do you think I should do?" So I said...
And that's when I stopped reading the Twitter earlier, because I was like, this is so dumb.
I said, "I've ordered from them before. It's mainly a preference thing. I personally will keep it with Skybound as I can support them directly." So then he said, "I can wait a few more days. I just hope it's not something where it's a lot longer, because mail, LOL. If you're saying they're a good company, I'll just leave it. Thanks, man."
Who was that wrote that?
No, we're going to leave anonymous. I will say, we need to start a Dear JP section.
Dear JP.
Dear JP, my Switch is
we still haven't done the sad music mean tweets about Premium Edition yet.
You know what? Yeah, I'm keeping it positive. And also, I don't keep track of them. Although I will say this much. There was one that actually came up that I actually found. It's the first time I've ever seen this feedback on a giveaway. So I'll lay the quick wallpaper. But on the Premium Edition Games Twitter channel, which is Premium Edition 1, we're giving away a $20 eShop gift card right now. Mm-hmm. Just as a little, hey, we're in the neighborhood now. Come check us out. So it goes until August 29th, which is Saturday, and then we'll pick the winner. And we'll give them a $20 eShop code for their region of choice. So I'll purchase it once I know where they're from. But there was somebody who literally said, I'm going to pull it up because I don't ever want to do something for verbatim. Oh, there it is. Okay, so here is what I wrote. I said, "Want a $20 eShop gift card? Just give us a follow, like, and retweet. Super easy, open to all regions." And they respond, "No, thank you. I prefer physical." So then I respond back. I'm like, "Then you might like our next giveaway we do, winky face." And then they followed us. But
Let's get physical.
It's the first time I've ever seen someone like, "Nah, I don't need that. I'm good." I mean, good for them. I'm glad they support physical. I just thought it was a little odd.
There's also, like, if you support physical and you like games like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, a $20 gift card could maybe get you a season pass or something that they're not going to put on cart.
And also, even better, if you like digital, it could help pave the way for a physical.
I mean, that is true, because the more games get supported and pop up, and the more like it shows interest in games too, and more people can see them.
Yep, absolutely. So someone is going to win that. But tonight on the JP Switchmania Twitter channel, I'm doing another giveaway for a $20 eShop code. So you have two chances to win. Mine ends tonight, and the Premium Edition one ends tomorrow night. So two chances. Check it out. And then, of course, we're going to be doing, and I think people know at this point, our big Animal Crossing console giveaway. That's going to be starting in the next week or so on the Premium Edition channel. So if you're not following us yet, I highly recommend you do, because it's not just going to be the console we're giving away. It's going to be a really nice giveaway.
Yeah, and it's going to be like share stuff and do some cool stuff, and you can win a full Nintendo Switch console. It's insane.
Yeah, and of course some games too. I think we could probably help them out with one game at least to get them started.
Yeah, we can get them trolling eye.
Yeah, we can. We must not like the winner very much. No, I'm just kidding. That's a fantastic.
Love the winner.
But wait, there's more. Whoa! No, so so thank you to everybody who took part in the poll. Thanks to Shiro Games for making Evil Land 1 and 2. Thanks to Super Rare for making it physically. We had a blast playing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And join us next week as we see who has the youngest brain of the group.
Yes.
It should be fun. So now, should we backpedal to news, or should we talk about what we got in the mail? I didn't get a whole lot, so that would be a quick session for me.
I like saving it for the end, if that's okay.
With the news, or
no, what we got
pickups? Okay.
I kind of want to talk about another presentation that just literally popped up out of nowhere.
Cool. So we'll do so we'll do that last. So Barry, what kind of news do you have?
I thought we were, you mentioned the presentation.
I did, right?
Talk about the wonderful snack.
The wonderful snack.
All right, you're gonna have to talk about that one.
Yeah, there's wonderful games. They put on that wonderful direct. Do you remember?
Oh, the one you mentioned it. I did not get to watch that, so why don't you give us the recap?
There was only 2 games for the Switch. It was like a dating game, and that garden story was shown off. Mm-hmm. The rest of the stuff shown off was, definitely interesting Steam titles. A lot of it was like wish list on Steam. I'd like to see some of it come to the Switch, but they had a lot of segments where the developers were talking about their games, which I thought was really cool. Mm-hmm. I always like to hear from the developers, and I don't know. I just think it's really interesting. It seems like with E3 gone this year, so many, groups are now just doing their own thing, and they're like following in Nintendo's footsteps. Like Nintendo was years ahead of everybody else, and everyone's like, oh yeah, we're doing our own thing. Like this was their Nintendo Direct Mini kind of deal.
Yeah, just like our premium edition Direct.
Yeah. So I thought that was really good. Just to see, and that also just kind of popped up out of nowhere. I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah. Nice. So why don't we talk about a little one that Nintendo decided to put up? Because, last week we had the Indie World Showcase, mm-hmm. and now we have a partner direct.
Which is funny that all the rumors kept saying, oh, we're going to have a Nintendo Direct next week. Everything points to it. Yep, they did one. They did one. It was the Nintendo Partner Direct. Gotcha.
Now, what happens if they do the Triforce Trifecta, and next week we see the Nintendo Direct drop that everybody is still expecting in September? I mean, can you imagine 3 weeks in a row of just these announcements? You go from nothing to just, overload.
And it all started with our game release, and then we got our game release, and then we got the Nintendo Mini, and then we got and then we got this one. Now it's time for Nintendo to take our lead.
You're welcome, No, I'm just kidding.
You're welcome, says JP.
Yeah. So if you watch this, we'll talk about. How about we talk about our feedback at the end? We'll go through it. I'll list off what they announced because it was about 11 minutes of titles, and we'll just go through it quickly, and then we could just kind of summarize and talk about it. But it started off with Kingdom Hearts: Melody of Memory, which is going to be launching November 13th, and yes, there is a physical. It's up for pre-order on Amazon and GameStop right now, and it's great that we're getting our first Kingdom Hearts game, even though it is a rhythm-based game, but it's a start, so I will take it. The next one that they shown, we've seen it before, but it's called Fuser, where you're dropping different music tracks and you're fusing them together to get a high score. It looks cool. That drops fall 2020, and it will be getting a physical as well. Then we got Taiko no Tatsujin Rhythmic Adventure Pack. 2 games on 1 pack,
and
it's the Taiko game that's an RPG, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, so the Taiko games are your rhythm-based, like Guitar Hero with the drums, like Drum Hero almost. But then this is like RPG, where you have like little minions, almost like Pokemon and stuff in one of the games.
Yeah, you're fighting by still playing with the drums.
Yeah.
And it looks cool. We don't know yet if there's a physical. If I had to guess, I know we got the Taiko no Tatsujin in the UK and in Japan and Asia, whereas we just got it digitally here. There's always a chance that they could drop it in other regions. And we at least know that the first one supported English, so I'm really hoping that if we don't get a physical in the US, it'll pop up somewhere. But it's coming out winter 2020.
I kind of want a cheaper version of the drums. The drum was always so expensive, that's why I didn't get it yet. And
yeah,
I actually would buy the original too.
Yeah.
Give us a multi-pack, Nintendo.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the UK, they did a combo pack with the drum and the game, and then they sold the drum separately. I know in Japan, because I bought it off of PlayAsia, but they actually apparently just put it up on the Bandai Namco store, and I think it may be $70 just for one drum. But it's by Hori, so it's good quality, but it is expensive just for the drum on its own. So the next game is a free-to-play, and it was available right after the presentation, but it's called World of Tanks Blitz.
Oh.
I've never played it, but I'm guessing I'm looking at the pictures in the gameplay. Your tanks fighting each other.
Yep.
It looks cool.
It's one of those big MOBAs.
Yeah. Then one that I'm excited for is Big Rumble Boxing Creed Champions. It's coming out spring 2021, and you can tell by the name it's going to be Rocky, and it's going to have all the characters, I'll say. So you've got Creed, you've got Clubber Lang, you've got Adonis, you've got Rocky, and it looks fun. I mean, I don't think it's
Ivan
quite Fight Night.
Don't forget.
Oh, Ivan Drago, and you got Victor Drago. So you have pretty much all the main guys from both the Creed series and the Rocky series, and the fighting actually looks fun. It looks arcadey, which is perfectly good enough for me. And we're getting a boxing game. So if I can't get Fight Night on the Switch, I want this one.
I want Punch Out on the Switch.
Yeah.
Like new Punch Out.
So the next one is, my guess is probably one that is maybe the most favorite of the announcements, but it's the Collection of Saga Final Fantasy Legend. And
Absolutely.
It's Legends 1, 2, and 3 from the original Game Boy. 3 classic handheld RPGs coming to the Switch. They've added a new high-speed mode. They've added a special anniversary song. It's coming out digitally right now on December 15th. Everybody's wondering if, the other regions are going to get it physically. As of right now, on the Square Enix Japan store, they have an exclusive physical release, but it's with a download code, not an actual cartridge.
So JP would buy it.
No, you know what? I was looking at the pictures to see if it's still a case, maybe with like a code inside, but it looks like it's just a piece of paper, and that warrants me not to get that one. But I'm going to hold out hope that maybe the Asia region will get this, or maybe even we'll get it at a later date, like they did with the Mana series. But either way,
a weird physical release.
Yeah, and I guess so.
It is.
Stop making me think, because I'm going to go order it now.
It's gross. I mean, really... I don't like it because, like, you also had the card release for Sonic Mania, the original, and that was a weird physical. And then still with the giant box, but there was no case. And I'm like, it's gross. It's gross when they do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I will say, like, for this, I don't know, like, it could just be me, but, you have Square Enix's name on the game. Make a physical. It's going to sell. I mean, they could do what they did in the UK with, I think it was it Lost Sphere or Ononaki? But they just did it, they kept it limited to their store. You could do that. Just do a 5,000 print run. This game will sell. I mean, we have so many people grew up with the Game Boy Legend series. I know I did. That I would absolutely love to have this physically, and I'm sure other people would.
The Square European stores, they will not ship to the United States.
No, but we'll find a way to get it.
JP always finds a way.
I will find a way. No, so the next game, maybe even top...
Because we've been recording for an hour, and it wanted to go to my internet now. So...
No.
Yeah, so I missed all your Just Dance 2021 talk. Oh, I was like, oh, perfect time. And so the listeners are here. Oh, perfect time for JP to cut out because my internet switches over, everyone. It happened last week, too. It is an hour mark. We're good, though. We can continue.
All right, so the bigger hype than those other previous games is Just Dance 2021.
No, it's not. We already established you broke the internet with the first time, JP. Jeez.
I did. But it's coming out in time for my birthday. It's coming out November 12th. There is a physical. There's more music, more characters, more dancing. So look out for that one. Next is Puyo Puyo Tetris 2. It has all modes from the original game plus new ones. It's coming out December 8th, and there is a physical. It's already up for pre-order on Amazon and GameStop. It's a launch edition, so it has some physical goodies inside the box. And if you like Puyo Puyo Tetris, you're probably going to like this one. The next one is Minecraft Dungeons Creeping Winter DLC, available in September.
Yep, so, and London and I will be playing that because we got the DLC packs when we bought it downloadable when it was released. So it'll be fun.
So the next two games that they announced are two games that actually just came out today, and I got them in, and I absolutely love them. It's Jump Force Deluxe Edition and Captain Tsubasa Rise of New Champions, both from Bandai Namco. Captain Tsubasa is literally an anime soccer series, and I played a little bit of it. This is the soccer game we've been waiting for. It is awesome. I love the overpowered moves, the over-the-top gameplay. And all we really had was FIFA. We have Street Power Soccer, and maybe we have like kiddie games like bundled with other ones for a soccer. But this is, I think, the first real fun soccer game on the Switch. So if you like anime, if you like soccer, you're probably gonna like this one. And then of course with Jump Force, you've got over 50 characters from the different Shonen series, Dragon Ball, One Piece, Hunter x Hunter, JoJo Bizarre Adventure, Hokuto no Ken, Fist of the North Star. So you can never really go wrong when you get all these anime characters fighting each other. The one thing I will say, I started playing it. There was some lag during the cutscenes. Like, it felt very choppy, but when I actually got into the gameplay, it felt fairly smooth in handheld mode. So it didn't look like it transferred over into the actual gameplay.
So weird that they would have choppy in the video.
You know what? Like, you expected in the beginning, because Frieza's, destroying, I guess it's New York City. You have Goku there, and as they're like fighting and shooting off their power attacks, it's like it's not smooth, and then it kind of takes you away from to like, oh, why is this not looking that good? And it makes you worried what happens when you get into the fighting. But the fighting, I didn't really notice much, or I didn't really notice lag. So thankfully that should be okay. And I will say for both Captain Tsubasa and Jump Force, it did have a download that it hadn't made me do when I popped in the cartridge. So it doesn't look like it's complete on cart for you.
Talking because I switched over my internet again. But the interesting thing is that it had a lot of criticism with Jump Force, like with the other systems. So it'll be interesting to see how it holds up on the underpowered Switch. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I do need to play more to really say. I mean, I don't have a comparison because I didn't play it on the PS4 or the other consoles. But yeah, I'm curious to see other people in the community what they think about it. And then the last one that they had announced or shown was Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered Edition. It came out digitally on the 27th. In Japan, it got a physical, but it only supports Japanese, no English for some reason. So as of now, we're not getting a physical. We probably won't. But I haven't read too much into it, but the reviews have not been favorable.
Really? Because you think it would be super cool to play like online with friends or something. Like
I've seen low scores. I wish I could pull it up, but like IGN gave it a low score. Some of the other sites gave it, mid-range scores. I need to read a little bit more to see what they didn't like, unless you read, Barry.
I didn't really read all the reviews. I know I got terrible reviews overall, and one of the biggest complaints is when the game first came out in the GameCube, it was touted around multiplayer, and that was it. Like, that was the big selling point, the Game Boy Advance and hook up with the cables. So with a game so focused on multiplayer, you would think they would get the multiplayer right, but they didn't. Not only does it have no local at all, you can't play local. So if you wanted to play like with your wife, you each have to have a Switch, you each have to have a copy of the game, and you're playing it online, which is ridiculous because you're right there. Like, that's the whole point. And then you have the other thing is, the game, from what I understand, and I could be incorrect, but like there's a certain amount of progress you need to do, and like your progress is not like if you go on an adventure, you saves for you, but it doesn't save for other people. So you have to do like the same dungeon like 4 times, one for each. That's ridiculous. It should just be like one caravan that everyone gets into. This way you don't have to. All right, let's keep doing it 4 times for everybody. That's just needless padding.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Padding.
So that was the 11-minute partner showcase. So let's just go around really quick, and why don't you give us your quick thoughts? So, Jeff?
So I watched it like much later and kind of fast forwarded through the games that I wasn't super interested in. So really I only focused on the Final Fantasy Legend trilogy, which is super cool looking. I like how it has still keeps the smaller Game Boy screen in the middle of the Switch pad with a little control background and stuff. But everything else was kind of okay to me. Like, there wasn't anything that was, like, super, like, mind-melting, face-melting, like, crazy. Hopefully some of these games come out and kick some butt. I'm not a big fan of the Captain Tsuba series, because
Tsubasa?
I literally had to write about all the garbage versions on the Famicom and the Super Famicom, and I may not enjoy them too much.
But now you're going to enjoy talking about a good one.
Maybe I will.
Maybe.
But we'll see. But yeah, that's the thing though, is it like, so I'm kind of scarred from those. The Jump series seems cool, but again, like it got criticized a lot on the modern consoles, or whatever you want to call them. So I mean, it was kind of underwhelming overall, but again, it was only 11 minutes, so it's not bad. Not bad for 11 minutes, and we got new games, so can't really complain. And JP has his Just Dance 2021, so there is that. JP can breathe now.
I can breathe. Look, you know what? It's a fun series. I like it a lot.
I was just waiting for Panty Party 2, and it didn't happen.
Not happen.
One question I had is, so you had the Puyo Tetris 2, but we still didn't get that Tetris, or the Puyo Championship outside of the Japan, so it is interesting that we're seeing a part 2 already coming over without the mid game coming.
Yeah, that's true. I will say though, better than any of those games, there's one coming out called Fantasy Friends, and it has unicorns and panda bears that fly in the sky with a rainbow behind a mushroom house. I can't wait for that physical. Ironically,
is even my 8-year-old, she doesn't like that stuff. Like, she's like, nah.
He's missing out on some quality titles. And I'm not kidding. This game is coming out physically in the U.S. called Fantasy Friends.
And people are complaining about Super Rare Games' choice of physicals. Like, those games are great. This one, awesome. JP's going to have it day one.
You know, you just said don't judge a book by its cover.
I said everybody does. And now you didn't explain the cover. You didn't explain the cover at all to me. You just said the game style, and the game style sounds like it's
I literally just explained the cover. There's a rainbow behind the mushroom house with a unicorn and a flying panda bear. I said all this.
Oh, so they're programming you into the game. Okay.
You know what? I have my 5-year plan. It was, become part of the Switch community, publish some physical games, make some games, be in a game. Those are my life goals right there.
So what you're saying is that we're either going to get Racing with JP, we're going to get Unicorns with JP, or Just Dance 2022 is going to feature JP.
Listen, don't give me false hope. I like all of those ideas.
I mean, you are the Carly Simon of the Switchmania Playcast.
Could you imagine? Maybe we'll change it from Racing with JP to I don't know, something with JP. But can you imagine all of our little character, models after all of us and people from the community? That would probably be just game of the year right there.
Just Dance with JP.
Oh my god! You could see me like, oh my god, I have such bad dance moves, and it'd be like
and every single one of those dancers, they just put JP's face on it, and it's moving around like terribly photoshopped.
No, they'll just have it as an extra character, but every time you move your right hand for it, it moves the left instead. It's like everything's the opposite.
And as all the JP heads are bobbing around, you have the Barry Teletubbies cloud going by on the
top. Actually, I have a better game. Talking with JP. Can you talk faster than me?
No, you can't.
Well, that's a challenge.
That is a challenge.
Can you overload your computer's internet by talking so fast that it breaks the internet?
Oh my gosh. It hasn't happened to anyone yet.
Not today on the Playcast.
So, was there any other news, Jeff or Barry, that you saw this week that you want to talk about?
I had one.
Go for it.
Finished watching High Score on Netflix.
Oh,
and nice. It was so cool. And there was one spot where I was watching it either at night or in between making stuff or playing Evil Land 2 over the weekend. And then JP sends me a picture. He's like, "Did you see this part?" And it was my buddy Chris Tang, and he happens to mention the Tetris World Championships that I'm calling the finals with. And you might be able to hear my part of my voice for a split second because I was part of that meme, the Boom Tetris for Jeff. I was the Peacemint Places. and part of where it was like ridiculously dumb because they showed the meme on the episode, and it's so funny. But I thoroughly liked High Score. A lot of the historians that I know were complaining about it because it like didn't cover Ralph Baer or didn't cover this extra stuff that they thought was super important about gaming history. But what I liked is that they didn't go in order of time. They literally went with interesting people that they did interviews with and formed stories around them. And this is season 1, so they could absolutely do another season where they talk about Ralph Baer or something else. And it was like number 1 on Netflix over the weekend too at one point. So it's absolutely interesting enough to the point where even some of my coworkers were talking about it this week, and I'm like, ooh, maybe I should play my nerd cred. And I'm like, no, I will not. Until we all started talking about this Star Trek game made out of ASCII at work, and then they all started piping in. I'm like, oh yeah, they're all way nerdier than me. Okay, I can talk now. Like, they were going into Colossal Cave Adventure and Zork, and they're like, oh yeah, you. I was like, ooh, all right. Time to level up. But yeah, it was a super cool delve and a little peek into the history and the stories, and it's kind of what I really enjoy too, because like when I'm doing even my compendiums for books, it's like our history growing up with it, or when we do the history portions with our strategy guys where we talk to the developers, it's like the small piece of history and what inspires them. It was like what inspires those creators, and like I loved it. It was awesome. What did you guys think?
I'm on episode 4 right now, so I'm in the beginning of the Sega Nintendo war. So I'm loving the series, and I really do like what you said, that they're not just going chronologically, but they kind of start with Atari and they're moving forward, and then it jumps to the idea of the role-playing game, the Dungeons and Dragon era where it all started, and making choices. And I really love learning more about that because, one, I didn't really grow up playing Ultima and all those kind of games, talking about how he saw that people were acting very evil in the game. So I forget which, like number 4 in the series, I forget which one it was, but he decided to make consequences. So you can rob from this guy, but you're never going to be able to get the sword that you need later on. And I really like that, like he had to like watch how people were playing the game and change it. And that's really interesting because you see those kind of games, like it's kind of common now where you have the
Zelda used that though.
Choices that you can make.
Zelda used that in Link's Awakening, where you can like steal the you can steal in the game, and then they call you thief the rest of the game. In Link's Awakening, so funny.
And when you walk in there again,
you do.
But so yeah, I'm gonna finish it. I just got a little sidetracked because I got very engrossed into Better Call Saul season 4, and I can't stop watching that right now. But I'm going to finish this week High Score. How about you, Barry?
Yeah, we just finished it last night. We really enjoyed it. What I'm gonna say is, yeah, I've heard the same type of criticisms, and I had those same criticisms going in, like, oh, they're not gonna cover everything. And I was talking with my father about it because he also happened to watch it, and said, what you're saying makes sense, but what they're doing is they're making it for the common man. They're making it entertaining for the people who may not necessarily be interested in gaming history but want to get into it, or so they are telling those stories. When I thought about it from that perspective, I really enjoyed it. I like that they did segmented chapters. It's not chronological in order. In fact, the last episode actually goes back to the earliest video games. But I like that they do tell a couple stories in each episode, and there's still so much to tell. They only go up to 1993, I believe. Like, they don't talk about anything else past that. They show some scenes, but
I love the history behind Doom as well. that was so cool.
Right.
So cool.
Oh yeah.
How they were like literally sitting there programming in a dark basement with like heavy metal blazing. I can just imagine them coding like like I've literally written books like that. like some of my books, I'm just sitting here listening to like metal music, or I'll listen to like a soundtrack of like Genesis games while I'm working on my complete Genesis book, or like completely relate with that. It's so cool.
Or how about the fact that they sent out the press release before they even started the game?
That this is going to be the best game of all time.
You weren't wrong.
No, it it was very good though, like overall, and I do hope for a season 2, and I hope they tackle a lot of the stuff they didn't get to yet from the beginning to 93, and I hope they do go into, past 93. There's a lot they can do with this, and if they play their cards, they can make 10, 20 seasons just by telling these individual stories. Because what we try to do here with Premium, with telling the developer stories and letting them speak, and letting the player base get to know them. That's kind of what this series is. It really is. Hey, here you're gonna hear the story behind Doom. You're gonna hear the story behind Star Fox. You're gonna hear the story behind Sonic and Final Fantasy, and Donkey Kong, and like all this stuff. Like, I think that's great. Pac-Man is in there, and that's what draws a lot of people into the gaming, is the stories behind not only the games but the characters. And there's a lot of really cool ideas there.
Yeah, and I will say that
what was interesting was like talking with Chris afterward, and he's like, it's so crazy because he's like, if he would have known how big this documentary would have been, he's like, I would have taken it more seriously. That's what he said. Like, I was like, no, dude, because you did it like you did it, it made it legendary. Like, he's completely himself on camera when he was doing that, and it's so much better because he did it like that.
Yeah, I think my favorite part had to be when you see Toys R Us really quickly with the ticket cards, and I'm just like, oh man, I remember going there and buying like NES and Super Nintendo games, and taking the card to the counter. And I was just like, it looks like nostalgia lane.
It's the coolest.
Yeah.
When they were doing the violent video games and they were showing the ESRB, creation, the whole Senate hearing, I'm kind of a little upset that they didn't show. They showed Howard Lincoln, but they didn't have Howard Lincoln's famous saying of "Night Trap will never appear in Nintendo console," because they show a clip from Night on the Switch with limited run, and that would have been fantastic to have both of them in there.
If I ever, did we meet Howard Lincoln at the Wisconsin show? Was he there?
JP, turn in your nerd cred. No, we met Howard Phillips from Howard and Nestor, and who was the playtester for the NES. Howard Lincoln is the lawyer. I know. Yeah. Take away your nerd creds, JP.
I'm sorry. Well, either way, I'm gonna meet him, and I'm gonna get him to sign my Night Trap case. He won't know it's the Night Trap case because it'll maybe just be like a different game, but I'll switch it out later.
Well, why don't you have him sign the actual inlay, the actual cover art?
True. Guess I could try that.
If it's on the plastic, you could just rub off.
That's true, too. All right, I'll have to think more about this one.
You didn't think that out too well.
No, not at all.
No, that's classic, though. Yeah, it was a really fun series. Can't wait to see what they do with the next. Make more. We want more of all of the things.
Nice.
That was my main thing.
All right, well, before we go into our game pickups, we do have the $1 challenge.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
That I probably failed because I played a second of it.
Yeah.
A second.
That's literally what I had, was to download it and turn it on, and I'm just like, okay, no more time. I'm too busy.
Did we get any feedback about who won last week?
Yeah, it was me.
It
was me.
Jeff, I think it was an autocorrect. I think they typed in JP and it somehow came up Jeff for some reason.
With their voice, they typed that in. That's correct.
Well, it happens.
Well, you were supposed to play the recording,
since I deleted all the multiple thousands of feedback that we've gotten, we all win by default, and I'll go first since it's amazing. So the game I picked is going to win for the cheapest game of all time. It is Pocket Mini Golf, and it was free.
Well, you can't beat that.
Can't be free. I was developed by Cubic Games, and is literally an overhead mini golf game. Play with up to 4 players. Has a horrible user score. It's time for some fun mini golf. Sit back and relax and score some holes. Fancy some multiplayer with friends? We've got you covered. Up to 4 players on one console. Gameplay is quite easy. Hold, aim, and release. The perfect trick shot. So the one thing I didn't really like about this game is like you literally hold and release to do your perfect trick shot, right? But like you couldn't really get a gauge on how far the shots would go. So like when you have these big hills and stuff, like I literally was having to shoot at it multiple times until I could get like over the hill, and then you go too far. and it jumps over, and you gotta go back. And if you at any time like hit off the wall or anything, it does like a game over. And there's bonus diamonds, and because it's free, like you got to use diamonds to restart and all that stuff. And I was like, no, I'm not restarting from where I was. And then I stopped playing because I didn't quite play for 1 second, but I played for a little bit. For free, it was great, but it was not an experience that I would play more than one setting. So I definitely wouldn't recommend it, but it was free. There's 50 levels total, so it says it's addictive gameplay. Not really. Not really.
As Jeff is playing it on the side right now, can't stop.
No.
All right.
Looking at my Switch right now that's plugged in.
Jeff's like, delete.
Delete.
All right, so I'll go next. I picked a game called The Child's Sight. It's published by Forever Entertainment. Yep. And it's typically $5, but if you have one of their like 70 games, it's only 50 cents, right? Or 49 cents. So technically, it's 49 cents for me. And I'm going to read the description. Discover lost moments through the eyes of a baby as you explore what remains in the attic, slowly unraveling the story of what happened to you while lying in the crib unaware and innocent. With every minute as you explore, you will remember more. So it's a horror game, first person. It's essentially a point and click, free roaming, so you move around the attic.
Wait, JP, did you get a game, or was that you literally waking up every day this week remembering what we did for Premium Edition games?
Oh my god. I wake up, I see Jeff's face. Oh my god.
Oh my god. Nightmares. Nightmare fuel.
Nightmare. I played approximately 5 minutes of this game. You start off in the attic, chapter 1, and you're walking around picking up a doll, you're picking up another doll, and then you click on the crib, and then you go back into like a baby, I guess, because you're in first person and you're as tall as the crib. And you have to keep this like mobile like going with the light on, and I have no idea what to do. And all of a sudden, this creepy man face just goes through the bars, scares the crap out of me, and then it says you died or game over. And I'm like, oh, that's enough for me.
It's a picture of Barry as a Teletubby in a cloud.
There is custom features. No, I'm just kidding. No, I will say it is atmospherically creepy. I would be wanting to play a little bit more because I am curious like what the whole point of the story is. Because I guess when you start off, you're an adult because when you're walking around, you're taller, and then you kind of jump back and forth. But so far, I have no idea what's going on, and that creepy guy just scared the poop out of me. So I'm gonna take a little breather, go back to Captain Tsubasa. Maybe I'll try again. But it's only 49 cents if you own one of the many Forever Entertainment games. So 49 cents is not too bad.
It's terrifying. So I am going to tie with Jeff on the cheapest game because mine was also free. It was, if you had a couple of their other games, it was free. Normally it's $4.99, and the game is called Perseverance. It's from Cool Small Games, and has this really cool artistic style as a visual novel with actual choices that affects the story. I'm like, oh, I like this kind of stuff. It has a little bit of a horror kind of theme, which I'm not usually good with, but I'm like, you know what? Let's give this a shot. So I start the game off, and it has you play as character Jack, and he's going hunting, and he wants to take his daughter, and he's having a fight with his wife because his wife's like, oh, your daughter's only 11, she shouldn't go out there and shoot animals, and he's like, oh, well, I need to train her and make her better, and you have a choice to continue the argument or actually apologize because it gets really bad in the argument. He's like, well, I wouldn't be taking our daughter if you gave me a son because she had a miscarriage, and I was like, wow, this is pretty nasty. What a fight. And then the daughter's like, oh yeah, I didn't even want to go hunting. I don't like shooting animals. I just want to, just spend time with you. That's all I want. But did you really want a son instead of me? And I'm like, oh man, now this is what a depressing start. So you start going to the cabin, you wind up running into a girl, and all right, I'm not gonna get involved with this girl because I don't want to be seen as a cheater right now. I'm trying to play him as a good guy. So I go up to the cabin. I'm like, oh, this is so far kind of weird. And interlaced in between these scenes is this girl on the phone, and she's talking. She's like, yeah, I'm going for the target. And I'm like, what's going on? What is this story? and suddenly like you see the girl later on that you saw on the road, and she's like eating a man alive, and I'm like, what the hell? So like she comes after you like a zombie kind of deal, and I'm like, this game just went completely crazy. So like I chose like tackle her and fight her, but she bit me and I died. So then I used my gun and shot her, and then you have to like choose to put her out of her misery or try to help her after you shoot her. I'm like, oh my god, like where is this going? And then like suddenly the town is like going like Zombieville because she went crazy in the town. And I'm like, all right, this is starting to get kind of good. Like, let's see where this goes. And suddenly it's like the credits start rolling. It's like end of episode 1. I'm like, what do you mean end of episode 1? What do you mean? Where's episode 2? And episode 2 has not been released. There's no mention of where episode 2 is. And this came out November 1st, 2019. So it's almost been a year. There's no episode 2. I must have played this for maybe an hour and a half. And most of it was reading the story. And I'm like, wait a minute, where I want to continue the story at this point. This game promised me, that me and the mysterious agent will find themselves in the middle of a crisis that will change them forever. Where's that? Where? I never teamed up with that weird agent on the phone. So I liked the game. I liked where they were going with the game, but it's not a complete game.
Right.
Kind of felt suckered because nowhere in the title does it say Perseverance Episode 1 or this is the first part of a story. It just literally acts like it's the full game.
Aww.
And I'm like, oh, that sucks. And there is not even a part 2 to download. So I kind of felt cheated. So I don't feel bad because I got it for free, although I kind of want to know what happens. But I really feel bad for anyone who pays $4.99 for this with only this episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
All right.
Yeah. So I would say we all lose this week. Last week we all won. This week we all lose.
We all lose this week.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, it's funny.
So funny. So I think we should go into what we have for pickups, and then we can go with what's available.
Sure.
I'll start. I got no Switch games in. Spoiler.
All right,
I really didn't. But I did get in some cool stuff. I got in a demo slip case for that could potentially go over our premium deluxe editions. So like if we do a slip case around it looks really cool. But I did get in a NES homebrew called Exit Loop that was supposed to be an exclusive to Midwest Gaming Classic. It looks really rudimentary, like classic, so I'll have to see how it is when I pop her in. But I always get like more Nintendo games than I do Switch games nowadays. It's crazy. But other than that, I did get the Easy Way Friday the 13th book, the advanced copy. So every time I do a book print run, like even with the Switch Collector, I get 2 advanced copies sent over to me like via normal air mail, and then all the rest of the print run go on a freighter ship that takes like 4 months to get over to the States, which is 4 months, 4 weeks. I hope it doesn't take 4 months. Jeez. 4 weeks to get over. But yeah, I didn't get any Switch games, unfortunately, guys. I've been I did ship out all the Switch Collector treasure chests, the game chests. I shipped those out. They were literally sitting waiting to be shipped for a week, and my wife was procrastinating. I was like, please help me, because I was working so much, trying to appease JP's insomnia and bringing scary faces to him when he wakes up in the middle of the night.
You succeeded.
Exactly. So what did you get, Barry?
So I finally got my Darius collections from Strictly Limited. They finally showed up. Nice. I feel like I was one of the last ones to get it. Like
even I got that before you. Ugh.
I didn't get mine yet.
Yeah, I got the regular editions. I got the PS4 and the Switch regular editions. But yeah, it took forever to get them.
Now you know why we like Strictly Limited, Barry. JP gets on the end of the list. I like it.
That's yeah. I think they shipped like the 22nd of last month, and they just came in.
Germany has been slow.
But then I also got the Giraffe and Annika, the musical Mayhem edition for Switch and PS4. Nice. Oddworld Munch's Odyssey, the limited edition. I got House Flipper, the US version. I waited. And then today, literally, my mailbox exploded. My wife was just like, "Oh, Merry Christmas to you." I'm like, "What?" Like, there's been nothing else all week. So, Immortal Realms came in today. Captain Tsubasa came in. Jump Force, Gear Club Unlimited to the Tracks Edition. My VGNY package with Super Trench Attack and Guns of Mercy came in. And then Nexomon Extinction for Switch and PS4 came in as well. Like, all this today. I'm like, holy crap.
So you literally got in a bunch of games that they announced on the Nintendo partner that are going to get probably NTSC releases now. Cool. Classic Barry. Double
So
dip.
everything there was NTSC except for the video game New York. That is the equivalent of
Yes.
those were and Strictly Limited's Darius, which that's probably not coming. Yeah, everything else was NTSA.
Oh, okay. I was like, man, classic double dip Barry.
Thankfully, that was not a double dip.
Good.
What about you, JP?
All right, so I got in 3 Asia English games. I got the Rolling Sky Collection, which has Rolling Sky 1 and 2. I got Road to Guangdong, and I got Ancestors Legacy, their Asia release, even though it has an ESRB M-rated on the cover. So I got those 3 in. Then I got in from Japan.
Came out?
The US version already came out. This is the Asia version, which is essentially the same cover, also with M-rated, but on the back it's different text, and technically it's the Asia region, but it has English.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
That's weird.
Then I got in from Japan Fight Crab with the soundtrack. I got in Oddworld Munch's Odyssey Limited Edition. I got in a physical from Germany called Gobble Stop Simulation, which is literally Forklift, the simulation. I got a forklift game. I don't know why, but somebody mentioned it. They're like, "You have this?" And I was like, "I didn't even know about it, but I'm going to have it now." And I did. Then I got in Street Power Soccer. I think Shanna's laughing at me. I got in Street Power Soccer. Then I got in 2 physicals from the UK, Rayman Legends and Sports Party from Ubisoft. They both have physicals, but they re-released them as physicals, so I got those. Then I got in from VGNY Soft their Super Trench Attack and Guns of Mercy covers. Then I also got in another physical from Spain, Tales of Vesperia. Also has a physical, but now I have the physical also. And then I also got in Captain Tsubasa and Jump Force Deluxe Edition. So that's everything that I got in so far this week. And I got a Gundam anime Blu-ray.
Oh, you gave us a bonus. All right, so those of us that are watching live, I do something when JP does this section now. I count how many times he says "I got." He did 20 "I gots" during that section. I commented live as he did it. Say I got. I was like, it's 18. Okay, new record. Oh wait, no, there's another and a bonus.
If we ever do a drinking game based on what I say, you'll all be dead.
Oh my goodness. Only in the Switchmania Playcast do we do dumb stuff like count how many times JP says "I got."
From now on, I'm never saying "I got" again.
You just did it.
This is the last time, just to let everybody know.
All right.
One thing we didn't mention about Premium Edition, something awesome happened this week.
Oh my goodness, don't spoil it. No, yeah, you can.
I was on the radio.
Yes, you were. It was ridiculous.
I was on Sports Byline USA. It was Thursday. There was a 10-minute spot where we got to talk all about Super Blood Hockey and Premium Edition games. It was awesome. I've never talked on the radio before. Super friendly people. They seemed to really enjoy the game. They played it beforehand. And, we were talking just about the mechanics, the gameplay. We ended up talking about the Switch and the PS4. A lot of topics in just 10 minutes. But if you missed it, that's okay, because we are going to get the audio up on our website and on YouTube.
Absolutely link it, yep.
Yeah. So it's on, you can go to sportsbyline.com. I believe they have a video game show late Sunday night where they'll replay the interview. But again, you can always, we'll post when it's up on our site and on YouTube, so you can hear JP talk all about video games, because you never really do that anyway. So
Exactly. And it should be interesting because it's a sports radio show. I was like, oh, this is going to be good. And then they just talked about video games. Damn them.
Yeah.
It
it's kind of cool that we are bringing, the very first solo hockey game on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think we say that enough. That's really cool. We don't have a hockey game yet physically, and we're about to. And you really can't get much better than Super Blood Hockey.
I mean,
No, that game's fantastic.
The more I play it, the more I love it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we were fans of it when we started talking to Lauren.
Yeah.
We were fans of it when we signed it. We're fans of it, when we played it last week. But it's true. It's become my go-to game for the pick up and play, and then I'll jump back into franchise mode when I want to just do a little bit more than just play a quick match. But it is so much fun, and it really is just like a perfect game to keep on the Switch.
Absolutely, and it's definitely for sale for a couple more weeks. Those that are listening to this, the week we release the podcast,
That's right.
And those that are all international now should very soon be able to get it for a very affordable shipping price, which is awesome. And like it's amazing that we're able to offer this, and it's literally going to put us in another stratosphere as we're able to actually give probably more affordable shipping than any other company out there right now, which is great. Which is great. Exactly what we want to do is be able to get as many games in gamers' hands as possible.
Yeah, and we never want shipping to be the reason that somebody has to pass on the game. So I'm very happy that we're able to do this now, because shipping, unfortunately, sometimes it is what it is. But when we're able to adjust it and have it be very affordable, so that way it's just an afterthought. That's exactly what we want when we buy games. So it was only natural that that's what we were working towards too for our releases.
Exactly, and
yeah.
All I gotta say is, based on some of our other conversations, like there's some legendary stuff coming with Premium Edition, like stuff that's mind blowing. Like we think we like see the top of like the coolest games that could be released, and then we're like, oh my god, we didn't even know about this one. And we're publishing it. Like what? like it's like, and nobody even knows about some of this stuff we're talking about. We're talking about stuff that nobody knows about, and it's like, oh, so cool.
And now we get to be that company that teases things and doesn't share it just yet, but we know it's awesome, and we can't wait to reveal it.
Which is ridiculous and tough to do, because like if you all leave us a voicemail message on anchor.fm/Switchmania, you might be able to convince us to spill some details on this crazy Switch world that we're going into. You guys gotta leave us a voicemail though. Like we gotta get you to leave voice messages somehow. We only had 100 that I had to delete so we could all lose the challenge. But for real, like we love feedback. You gotta leave us something with like what games you want to see released physically on the Switch, and then maybe if we get enough feedback, we'll give you all a softball onto a little bit of details.
Also, what word would you like JP to say the most on the next episode? And I'll just incorporate it into everything.
I think it's better when you don't realize it, and then I bring it up afterward, and you're like, "Aw."
Well, fun fact though. So after the radio interview, which is 10 minutes long, I got feedback on it. Apparently, I started every answer with "absolutely."
You're getting nervous.
There seems to be this trend. It's not even nervous. It's just I don't even realize sometimes that I'm saying. I know, like from past conversations, that I'll tend to pick a word like randomly and just it's always being said. But I didn't even notice this time until it was pointed out. And I'm like, oh, I guess I did, and now I did it again with this episode. So
we
I don't know,
absolutely are bringing this game to the Nintendo.
Absolutely, I do.
Oh, are you bringing a game to the Nintendo Switch, JP?
Absolutely.
He got in the latest games.
Yes.
I think absolutely we should talk about what's coming out.
So, if you all survive this week, you could breathe a little sigh of relief for next week, but not too much, because we're still not slowing down. We have quite a number of announcements of upcoming releases and pre-orders. But before that, I will say that this week we had a number that came in the second half of the week that you may or may not know about.
I pre-ordered 2 games this week. I should probably spoil it, and then you can explain it after I spoil it.
Okay.
I pre-ordered the Turrican games that were announced by Strictly Limited, right? Am I right?
Yep.
Yes,
Yes,
I got it
sir.
right. And of course, I had to get, because we've done some episodes on this, a Mighty Gumball Burst in limited run released that sucker, and like I've been looking forward to getting that one for a while. That was one of those classics from year one that I wanted. All right,
Is
so
the version a different game because it's like Gal?
Nope. It's same game, different name. That's how they advertised it.
Does the Galgun characters in both the Switch version as well, or
Same game, different name. I'm gonna go with everything's the same, just a different name.
oh weird?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the reason for that.
I thought it was a mistype that they put Gal in there for some accident.
Yeah, I don't know. What was the other game? Oh, those were the two. Okay, so let's go through.
Actually, that was 3 because I bought both Turricans because they didn't want to do a multi-card like Premium Edition does.
They're also split very weird. It's like Turrican 1, 2, or 1 and 3 is like the Super Nintendos are split, or the Gen is like wouldn't you put them all together?
I don't know why they do it. I just get sad,
Yeah.
and I'm like, just put it on one cart. Be like us. Be like us. Be like. I just keep interrupting JP. All right, go ahead.
All right, so first off, we had Ruiner open up for pre-order on Tuesday.
Nice.
There is a limited run games variant cover edition for $29.99, and then you have the special reserve games edition for $39.99.
Okay.
Pre-orders are going to be ending at different times. So for limited run, you have until Sunday, September 27th at 11:59 p.m. Special reserve is September 18th at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Very important.
Ruiner looked cool. Like, again, classic on their websites. It didn't show what the game is. But it says action and all that. But, like, I went to the trailer, and I'm like, it's a top-down action, like almost like twin-stick shooter. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, people are going to have to convince me again. How is it not like Contra Rocore? Because, like, that's what... I just played Contra Rocore on the Switch, and I'm like, oh, this looks like Contra Rocore, just grittier.
Well, you have Devolver Digital attached to the game, and they make fun games, so
They do.
that's enough for me. But yeah, it's a brutal action shooter set in the year 2091 in the cyber metropolis Rengkok. So yeah, looks
Language,
cool.
JP.
Sorry. Story-driven action. Violent confrontation is a means to an end. Cool. So Ruiner is currently up for pre-order, so if you haven't done it, don't forget to. The other game that we just mentioned was Turrican. So
Yeah.
strictly limited games. Announced it during the Gamescom. Was it the open night piece of it? But it's 2 versions. So it's Turrican Anthology Volumes 1 and 2. And I can go quickly, just so people know what's on each release. But Volume 1 has Turrican from the Amiga, Turrican 2 from the Amiga, Super Turrican from the Super NES, the director's cut of that one from the SNES, and Mega Turrican Score Attack from the Mega Drive. So that's all on Anthology 1.
Which is like Mega Turrican Score Attack, and then they don't even put Mega Turrican on that volume.
Yeah, so then on Anthology 2, you have Turrican 3 on the Amiga, Mega Turrican from the Mega Drive, Mega Turrican Director's Cut from the Mega Drive, Super Turrican 2 from the SNES, and Super Turrican 1 Score Attack from the SNES.
So weird.
So yeah. But the other thing is there's actually 2 collector's editions. There's a collector's edition and an ultra collector's edition.
Super expensive.
It's expensive. There's a lot of goodies. If you want to know exactly what's in there, you can go to strictlylimitedgames.com or you can go to jpswitchmania.com because it's in the week of August 23rd post. I have all the details of everything that came out this week, including those games. But we're not done yet because on Saturday, which is tomorrow or whenever you're listening to this, there is a game from First Press Games that's opening up for pre-order. It is called Neko Navy Daydream Edition. It also got announced, pretty much it got announced I think on Wednesday or Thursday, but it's opening up for pre-order on Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. There is a regular edition, an English cover with an English manual, and then a regular edition with a Japanese cover, Japanese manual. Different amount of quantities available, so that's on my website and theirs. But then for the collector's edition, there are 3. There is a Miracle Collector's Edition, a Mugi, and a Chiyoko. And the only difference between them is the plush of the cat. So depending on which cat you like, that's the one that you're going to go with. But the thing is, the cover of the collector box is different. It's based on that. What?
Are you getting all three?
For first press games, I mainly stick with their regular editions, and that's because I want their slipcover. Their slipcover has a connecting spine silhouette image that keeps growing, but also I really like the slipcover, and it doesn't come with the collector's edition, so I typically just stick with their regulars.
Good thing you don't collect variants, JP.
Collect variants. I mean, I may go for the Japanese cover also. I don't know yet, but in terms of the game case in the collector's edition, it's the same as the regular, minus the slipcover. So there's not a different cat on the case itself, just the box. So I'm just sticking with the regular. All right, so let's go into next week. On Monday, August 31st, you have Wallachia, Reign of Dracula. This is the VGNY Soft cover edition, because right now you can pre-order it with a different cover at pixelheart.com. And then the U.S. cover, and I have air quotes, that's going to be from VGNY Soft on Monday. Then on
Why
Tuesday,
is it in air quotes, JP?
Because, actually, you know what? Hold on one second. Before I say the wrong thing.
That, about the rating? Yeah.
Yeah, because some of their games, they do an ESRB release, and I really just want to make sure that I have picked the... they have a rating pending on here. So this one actually... I believe is going to be a U.S. release. Yep, this is an American ESRB rated production. So it's going to be limited to 5,000 copies, and it is actually going to be a U.S. release. So this is not one of their European cartridges with a North American cover. This is actually a U.S. release. So cool. I'm glad I'm going to update my notes on that. So
hey, JP, guess what? While you're updating your notes, I found in the Switch Collector Volume 1, page 192 is where the Mighty Gunvolt Burst section and the digital-only section is at. And in my own personal collection, I'm using the checkmark stickers, and I actually use the rounded check marks. And I put a check mark on it once it gets announced for a physical. So nice. I have the check mark. It was actually written by Alan Jenks as well, that review.
Oh, awesome.
Super cool. JP Switchmania reviewer. Yeah.
Yes. All right, so on Tuesday, September 1st, we have a distributed title from Limited Run Games. It's called Regions of Ruin from Yondu Soft. So they are going to be putting that out. In stores coming out, you have MX vs. ATV All Out. And you have Ari and the Secret of Seasons coming out. And if you want to get a little bonus for that game, at Best Buy, you can get a $10 e-gift card when you pre-order it. So
and that was Ori?
Ari. A-R-Y.
Ari.
So then... we jump over to, Thursday at this point. We have the Dandara Collector's Edition, and I believe regular too, from Super Rare Games. They just announced it today. It's going to go up for pre-order on Thursday, and I'm just jumping to their site really quick. Yeah, there's going to be a regular edition and a Collector's Edition. So it's Dandara Trials of Fear Edition. That's what it's called.
Now, is it still Dandara, or is it a sequel?
This is Dandara.
Okay,
I think cool. I'm just trying to see if they have any notes about like DLC or anything like that, but no, okay. So it's the Trials of Fear edition. It goes live at 1 p.m. on Thursday, and there's a regular and a collector, so I'll have that in my weekly release post for next week.
So interestingly, that is page 242 of the Switch Collector Volume 1. I actually already had a checkmark sticker on it, so it was announced before, for sure.
Yeah, this was one I believe that Super Rare had done with Wood when they announced about 7 games.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yep.
Yeah. So we knew it was coming, we just didn't know when, and we didn't know that there was a collector's edition, so I think that's pretty cool.
And JP, it was written by Chad Myers from JP Switchmania.
I don't know if you know this, Jeff, but in the collector's edition, I want to get to it really quick so I can get to you. In the collector's edition, there is going to be a 180-page full-color guidebook.
Wow.
Along with a custom-designed pendant, a full set of 52 playing cards, a collector's pin badge, an A3 size double-sided map, a 2-CD soundtrack, a sticker, an awesome collector's box, and the full set of their cards for that release.
Cool.
So I'm really curious to see that release. Looks nice. It's going to be it converts to about $100 US. So
okay,
it's
$100 for a collector's edition. It's not too bad with the guidebook because I know guidebooks take a while.
Yeah. So it should be good. All right, so let's jump back. So that was Thursday. Then on Friday, in the UK, we have Ministry of Broadcast coming out. They're going to have a regular and a pin badge set. And then don't forget, in the US, we're getting this game in October from PM Studios, and it's going to come with a steelbook. So Barry, you can hold off if you want. I always think of you. Then we have NBA 2K21. We have the Standard Edition and the Mamba Forever Edition. That's coming out. And then we also have Road to Guangdong, the UK edition. So same game, just different rating on the cover. And what was really cool about this release that I believe I think the UK will also have this. It came with a manual, and it also came with these 2 recipe cards, because I guess in the game, it takes place in the 90s. You're going on essentially a road trip. So you have recipes from your grandparents, and it's a full recipe. Like, you can make the food, and it has all of the ingredients and the steps of what you need to do. And I think that was pretty cool. And I believe the UK version should have that. The only thing that was interesting though is that the cards, the recipe cards and the manual were oversized, so they actually shipped outside the packaging.
That's kind of disappointing.
Yeah. And as of right now, I think that is it for next week. So it's not terribly too bad.
That's horrible, JB. There's so many games.
No, Barry, I don't think it's too bad compared to this week.
No, this week was like a slower start and then just like diarrhea at the end.
Well, I mean, if you guys are like gross completionist collectors with your gross OCD of having to grossly say gross things.
You know what? So how long has the Switch been out now? Is it
about 3 days, 4 days now?
Yeah. It finally happened. I forgot to pre-order a game. I had to share this. And ironically, the game that I'm missing is The Missing from Limited Run Games.
Couldn't have picked
I did not pre-order it. I don't know what happened. I looked at my invoices or emails, and I have the game before it. I have the game after it. I don't have that game. So everybody immediately, I posted this, and they're like, well, you can just pre-order it at Best Buy. And I'm like, well, that's a different cover. I'm a variant collector. I got to go with the original. I think I found the copy, hopefully. But yeah, it's crazy. It finally happened. And it happens to everybody, I guess. But I'll push review. The other...
You know why that happened, JP? That happened literally because you're spending so much time with Premium Edition that you're starting to slip.
No, this game was from January.
Starting to slip, JP. We
know,
may have been working with Premium since January. Last January. Last January.
So before we go, somebody did ask me a question that I wanted to answer, and they asked me why I like these physical releases.
Because you're a gross human being who likes to have shiny things on his wall.
Surprisingly, you're not the first person to use all of those words in the same sentence. I see gross, I see why, I see, of course, it's JP, and
I mean, I was the one writing all those, but no.
That's true. I blocked every one of your accounts. No, right. I'll explain it, and I'm sure the opinions will differ because I think the majority of people in our community are not fans of this. But I'll step back. So, physical is a term that I think I came up with. That just means that there's a code in the case. There's no cartridge, so you're literally getting an official case and then a piece of paper that has the code to download the game off the eShop. And people wonder why I buy these. So it's twofold. One is there are some games that will never get a physical, and they come out this way. They're mainly in the UK. I'm trying to think of a few examples. I can't at the moment. But, these are smaller type games. They're like maybe $15, $20 at most on the eShop. And I don't think they would ever really warrant a 3,000 or a 5,000 print run, to be honest. It's not that they're bad games. I just don't think the demand to buy a physical is there. So this is another option where the game comes out in a retail store or online literally at the exact same price as if you'd buy it on the eShop, but you get a case. And to me, when I say I'm a physical collector, I count that case. Like, to me, that's what I collect. Even like if we talk about Sonic Mania with the big box and a code, I actually don't count that as a release for me because I like the cases. Like, that's what, appeals to me for the Switch. So I tend to go with something that has a case. Now, the other piece of the physicals is that you get games that did get a physical. So like I talked about this week, Tales of Vesperia, Sports Party, Rayman, Legends, they all got real physicals. So why am I buying it again? I don't know. I just like the case, and I figure my son is going to come of age where he can have his own Switch, and I literally can just open up these 30 plus physical releases and just dump them all onto his system. And, being, a younger kid who I really don't want popping in and out of cartridges and breaking them, that's not bad to give him a Switch with all these fun games that a lot of them are, E-rated and meant for him. So I do plan on using them. It's not that I keep them sealed until they expire and they're no good. But yeah, I enjoy them. I think they're starting to get a little overkill, especially, unfortunately, with Bandai Namco. They're literally taking their entire library and just putting them back out as codes. And, poor me, it's my choice. But yeah, it's getting to be a little too much because I'm noticing it more and more. But, I mean, that's really why I collect them. I know a lot of people don't like them. I'm sure your opinions are similar to everyone else's. Barry and Jeff.
We're literally getting comments from the live community saying, I hate those.
Yeah.
And I say, in the Switch Collector Volume 1, I literally count Sonic Mania as a physical. The Deluxe Edition. It is a physical. Everything that has a game code in it can be construed as a physical. However, then do we count those gross, dirty, nasty cards that are in Walmart when there's a couple games there that aren't released anywhere else and they're on those dirty, stinky cards?
I'm not going to touch that one because I don't want to collect those cards. I know people who did. And even if you look at Best Buy, they had the fan gamer games like I forget which, Hollow Knight and things like that. They had a plush with a code on the receipt. You could technically count that. Again, me personally, I don't. If somebody wants to collect it, good for them. Like, I don't judge. That's why I always find it funny when I post it at this point, I think just to annoy people because I know they hate them. But to me, it counts in my collection, so I share it. But it's funny how angry some people get. And I think they think that
I definitely got the Hollow Knight one.
What?
I definitely got the Hollow Knight plushie one. I got that for my daughter. And then, what else did they release? They released
they did a
Katamari.
Katamari.
Yep. Yeah.
And did they do a Stardew? No, they didn't do Stardew Valley.
I literally walked by Katamari all the time, and I just never got it. And every time, like, London was like, "Ooh, that's cute," but it wasn't enough for her to buy it because I was like, "Do you want me to get it?" She's like, "Well, no." I'm like, "Okay."
But I mean, I will say that I wouldn't mind if they slow down. Germany seems to love them. Like Mark and Technic, which is a publisher, absolutely loves these digital codes. That's where the forklift simulator game comes from, and all these other.
Does Germany game collectors like it though? Like you say, Germany, like the entire country. Do they though? Do they?
My
really?
guess is not. I think they know that I buy it, so they open up the international shipping for me.
Yeah.
I think they're kind enough to do that. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind not collecting them. Like if they stop doing them, I'd be okay with it.
Because it is a separate category, JP. There's digital collectors, there's physical collectors, and then there's physical collectors. Because Nintendo literally has 3 categories on their developer portal. It is not a physical release. It is a game code in box release, and that's what it's called by Nintendo. So it is not. It is a separate collecting thing.
It is.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have a sickness, and the only cure for that sickness is to say "I got" more times. We had a request. We had a request for that on.
I mean, the good news is that in the U.S. we don't see too many of them, and we typically don't see them repeated. Meaning we don't get a physical and then the physical. Like we got Mortal Kombat 11, but then we got the complete collection as a digital code. So it was technically a little bit different, not too much. Then like Fortnite, the only way we got it was as a physical. With Overwatch, we got it as a physical. So at least we're not terribly bad as opposed to other regions. Germany definitely seems to do their own games, but it's the UK where you start seeing these physical to physicals. And I just realized I missed one. So I got Rayman, I got Sports Party, and I missed Monopoly. So.
Yes, you had 2 I gots there.
So,
You're teasing everyone with we gots for a little bit, and now we got some I gots again. Yes. Everyone can sleep well tonight now. JP has given you your I gots.
So the moral of the story is if you find these releases online, let me know because I'm probably going to miss them.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the only ones that would be remotely interesting to me is if they did not have a traditional physical release. Right. Are there any out there that don't? There's like 2 maybe, right? When the initial...
Yeah. There's actually a few. It's mainly in the UK.
Yeah.
And I mean, for next episode, I could definitely pull if anyone wants to
That
know.
was like
but
RoboCod, or there was a couple. There was a couple
there's
I
RoboCop,
remember.
There's like a pocket racing or like a toy car racing game. There's
Because I compiled the list for volume. I think it's volume 3 that they end up being in. But because it's the second half of year 2 is when they started popping out in mass. But there's only a couple from that first batch that were maybe 2, maybe 3 of them. And then the other 4 or 5 were all like re-releases, which are
Are you saying that Premium Edition won't be doing physical releases?
No, I mean we already, every listener, spoiler alert, we already did a physical release with the Switch Collector Volume 1 before we were an established company. Is that our first physical, everyone?
There's no game.
And that would be a physical. There's no game.
That's not physical. You need a game.
JP, so the physical is that you get a version of the physical release inside the box. There in the manual, there's literally a mini collector's checklist inside the box. It's the physical version of the Switch Collector Volume 1 book inside of it.
I feel a rubber band stretching somewhere.
Yeah, it's about the same as your justification for collecting physicals in the first place. Oh!
Listen, if I came up with the terminology, I get to make the rules.
Mm-hmm. And I can
okay, so either way, we'll be doing physicals, everybody. So Super Blood Hockey will be on a cartridge. So will our future releases. But yeah, so for you listeners that are listening live, to anyone who's going to listen
I disappeared.
afterwards, why don't you tag me? And Barry?
Yes?
What do you think?
Oh.
That was so random.
I was just waiting patiently while you guys just, did your thing. First off, I think if anyone has a problem with you collecting the way you collect, then
they don't know me.
The hell with them, because everyone's collection is their own, and you should just collect what you enjoy. Now, as for physicals, I've never been a fan of them. My first experience with them was with the Vita, where I went for a full set, and there's 2 on the Vita. There's Minecraft and there's MLB 15.
Mm-hmm.
Both, thankfully, do have actual physicals in other regions in English. So at least while having them on the shelf, and I made the decision to buy those 2 because not only was it only 2, but when I went for the full set, I wanted a full retail set in addition to the limited. And those were technically retail releases. Yep. So when they first appeared on the Switch, they were only European at first, and I was like, phew, not to worry. And then they just started to come here, and I was like, like this sucks. But I did get them. I did every U.S. release I got, and the reason I got is because those are the kind of things you're not going to find secondhand.
Right.
You're not going to ever find used because their code's done, and most people will probably throw out the case. So I had no choice but to buy them, and I'm not a fan of them. There's 2 that I wound up double dipping on purpose, which was like Constructor and Super Putty Squad, which do have European physicals, actual physicals, but in our US we only got the physicals, so I do have both there. But yeah, I'm not a fan at all, and I'm only buying them out of obligation because I do feel they are part of the full set, even though at least the full retail set, and I'm keeping them sealed because that's just, kind of the way it is. If it's opened up, then it's pretty much an empty case. Yeah, the codes will expire. I hate doing it, and I'm thankful that it's not too many over here. But yeah, it's just one of those that I'm not a fan of it, but I do it out of obligation to the set. And if they stopped it.
Sorry. Keep going.
Go on. That's what banned.
Oh, I was gonna say it was actually interesting because this past week there was one that got announced from Funbox Media. It's on their website. It's called Santa's Christmas Adventure. It's a code in box, and they label it they describe it as a perfect stocking filler. It's gonna be. I'm on their website now, so it's going to be. Was it like $11 or so? Like it's nothing crazy. Yeah, £11.66, and I think it actually may be coming out here in the U.S. I could be wrong. But Barry, there may be another one. But somebody said, okay, well, why aren't you just doing a physical? And they blatantly said on social media, like, this game is not going to warrant 5,000 copies, 3,000 copies. This is just meant for kids. It's meant for the holidays. It's a cute little game. Like, I'm watching the trailer now. It's a little, puzzle type of game where you're shifting the tiles to get Santa to, from the start to the finish. And it's like a cute little game. And I understand that. But like, the few people commenting were like, well, I would buy one. And they were like, okay, you buy one. And then there's 2,999 that go unsold because nobody else wants a physical. So
I was going to say at $10 or $11, that's a lot easier to swallow than some of these that are, $40, $50, like Wolfenstein, Youngbloods, like big AAA releases that are just like that. That's really where it hurts.
Yeah, like to me, I can completely understand like an indie developer, they want to get their game in a store somehow. They can't fund the physical. This is a good alternative, especially if it's priced at the same price as just a digital. Here you at least get a case, you get something tangible. You're right. I mean, when we see like the Wolfenstein go that route, and it's like, well, why? I mean, you could have easily funded it. To me, okay, AAA bigger studios, I don't see why they're doing it. Thankfully, it really hasn't caught on. Like, I don't see a trend starting of these main games getting these digital codes.
Knowing what we know, though, JP, could they afford it, though? Because, like, if they would have put it like a 32 gigabyte card or a 64 gigabyte card that's still not announced by Nintendo, like, those are super expensive per cartridge. And, like, or they do a 2 gigabyte card and then require you to fill up your memory card on the download anyways. Right. Like, and then we're like, well, why did they do that with the download required? And it's like, well, yeah.
The answer is if they can afford it is definitely yes. I mean, when you have a studio, when you have a publisher that can put on an E3 show, they can afford a Switch game.
I like that logic.
Yeah, those shows are not cheap. And if they feel they have enough to warrant it, and especially you have like Wolfenstein, you have Overwatch, you have these, Blizzard, Activision Blizzard, the CEO makes more money than the three of us will ever make combined in like.
Whoa! Like I've got goals.
He makes like $30 million or $30 billion a year.
Like
JP has goals, everyone.
I have goals.
Quit trying to downplay JP's goals here.
Yeah, I'm not trying to downplay JP's goals. I'm trying to say that these people make more money than they well deserve. So yes, they can easily afford to put out these games physically.
But can they though?
Yes, they can. They're lazy and they're cheap.
They're not cheap. The cards, the cartridges are not cheap to produce.
It's true, they're not.
I'm just saying, if they do a 2 gigabyte cart, sure, but Wolfenstein Youngblood is not a small game.
No, but there's compression to it. It's not. You can't look at like the PS4 version as how big it is, because especially Panic Button, they've been
That'd
really
be like terabytes though, if that was the case. But I'm just saying, like
all of Doom and Wolf, on a card outside the multiplayer. But
I'm looking up Wolfenstein Youngblood. I want to see how big this game is. So on Nintendo Shop, it is 20.6 gigs.
Okay, so knowing how much it costs per cartridge, just for the card alone, that's $19 extra per cartridge. There's no way they're gonna do that. Like when it's literally $0 to put the card in there, or I had an extra $19 per item. Like, I'm just saying, as a business, that does not make logical sense just to put it on a physical cartridge. They would do 16. And then it would be a lot cheaper, but then you have to have a download card. So then why not do 2? Other than why not just do the card? I'm thinking from a business perspective. Would I want it on the card? Hell yeah, I want it on the cartridge. But as a business, no business is going to do that because you do what's 19 times 5,000?
A lot.
No, it's not a lot. But you have to remember, these are billion-dollar companies.
Sure, and they are billion-dollar companies because they don't do things like that. Like their profit margin, they can afford to pay their guy. Because, I mean, they didn't spend an extra $100,000 on a 5,000 print run minimum. They're not going to print 5,000 copies, Barry. You're not going to win this argument that the business is going to do it. They could waste $1 million putting a $19 cartridge in a 50,000 print run that's going to go worldwide in Wolfenstein Youngblood. But they're probably not going to waste $1 million doing that just to appease those that want it on cartridge.
If they're not wasting money, then they will sell out. If they did Wolfenstein as a limited 5,000. That's a well-known IP that would sell 5,000 easily. In fact, I guarantee if you look up Wolfenstein Youngblood sales now, it's more than 5,000. So if
That
they
company
sold,
doesn't do limited runs though.
they could. Nothing's stopping them. In fact, it's
If they can do a physical, they could really do whatever they want. Any company.
JP, take down notes. We need to release Wolfenstein Youngblood limited release on physical.
Here we go.
The Switch.
It would not a physical, on a live actual thing.
We'll let Barry take out the $100,000 loan, and we'll just for the cartridges only, not the physical items. And, I'm telling you, that is ridiculous. Oh yeah, we would need to do.
When we're well established, we can do this as a challenge.
Yeah, I don't think, but that.
Let's worry about it then.
Once JP's getting $30 billion a year with his goals.
There we go. I promise you, I'll take a little bit of the funds and I'll make a physical, and we'll see how well it sells.
If you're making $30 billion a year, then I think it'd be...
Then I'll just buy the 5,000. Be like, suck it, I did it.
He's gonna do it and not sell them to anyone.
Oh my gosh, no. Now we're getting off topic, everybody. So that was
I was just being devil's advocate, by the way.
I know. That's part of the fun, though. You got to go back and forth, you know.
I couldn't just agree and say, "Oh yes, we all want physical." Then we're all the nerds. Of course, we want physical, but are they really gonna do it? They're not, and you know why they're not, though. In the reality, because they're greedy. That's why they're not doing it. That's why they're doing these daggone physicals in the first place. They're greedy as hell. That's why they're re-releasing games with physicals, because they're greedy and they want money.
Yeah.
If they cared about the community, they would support the developers and get more.
All about that profit margin.
Yeah.
How cheap can we make the product and how expensive can we sell it? And that's that.
Exactly.
Switchmania Playcast gets dark.
And you know, now with the next gen coming, game prices are going up again, another $10.
Up.
So,
you know, it may be going up, but Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 I think is only $39.99 on the PS5.
interesting.
Ooh.
Yeah, I believe I probably am completely wrong now, but I'm pretty sure I saw that on Amazon because I was like, wow, PS5 already? I'm like, yeah, I guess it's that time. But I'm going to just check really quick. So Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 is $39. It's the exact same price as the PS4 version.
Awesome.
So unless it's wrong, lock in your pre-order now for the PS5 version. But yeah, so it's you're right though. I'm sure once the PS5 and the next Xbox comes out, we'll be talking about pricing, and it'll be very interesting to see if it has any effect on Nintendo's pricing as well.
No. I mean, I saw one of the news pieces about the Xbox where it's like, well, looks like they just put their foot in their mouth because they're postponing Halo, which would have been your reason to get the Xbox right at launch, like for most gamers. And now it's like, well, maybe they're all just gonna go and support the PS5 Fan Edition.
At the same time, they just announced that Ratchet and Clank, which is the big PS5 launch game, is now launch window, so that's not going to be at launch either.
No, I mean now you don't even want to get the router edition of the PS5, the big Fan Edition.
Right.
Like, I mean, everybody just stick with the Switch. You'll be fine. There's There's more rumors about Switch 2 with updated hardware and stuff, which, I mean, Nintendo will probably deny and then drop launch it because, honestly, a lot of the rumors that have been coming true, while the facts have been off, we did see 2 different directs when people predicted, hey, Nintendo Direct's coming. Well, we did get a mini indie. We get the indie. We got the partner. So there's another one saying there's a September thing.
I think we're going to see it.
Yeah,
I think we're going to see something. Like, Nintendo's going to launch a video. I really think that they're not going to do a direct unless we're going to get, like, our Zelda Mario thing. And honestly, if they don't, I would be surprised. Like, they need to, because we need some holiday first party bomb drops. And even if they're predictable, like Skyward Sword that's been released on 3 different websites now. Like,
yeah, I will say that I feel we're gonna get one that has to showcase the Mario collection. Like, I think we talked about this
honestly,
last week,
like, I'm so excited about Skyward Sword without the stupid motion controls. Like, you don't understand.
If it's real.
You do realize that we're like a week away from it being a full year since we've had an actual Nintendo Direct, not a mini, like a full-blown Nintendo Direct. we're like a week away from a full year. That's crazy.
Yeah, but I still feel like we've had plenty in between. I mean, even if it's not full
No
on
games have been
first-party games.
released, JP. No games have been released. We don't
No
get a
games.
direct, it doesn't count.
What do you mean we haven't gotten games? We got Animal Crossing.
JP, we've had like 10,000 games released. Like, literally said I got 20 times in this episode alone. And that was just in the one section. You said it much more. But but that's the thing, though, is that Nintendo, I think, was just straying away and doing their own thing and treading their own path. But we will likely see one when they're ready to drop a bomb on something. I just hope when we get it that we get more info on Breath of the Wild 2, because I'm just hungry to get more info on that. Like,
I'm telling you, if we see a direct and then we see the Mario collection, we see Breath of the Wild 2, we see the Skyward Sword, and then you just see Metroid Prime Trilogy, Metroid Prime 4, and then you just bring back Golden Sun and Xenoblade Chronicles X. Like, you just imagine 20 minutes of just wow, we waited and it was completely worth the wait.
JP, quit spoiling things, because we're going to have our newest launch at the end of it from Pre-Edition Games, at the end of the official Nintendo Direct.
One more thing.
What?
Actually, I can tease something. Cartoon JP is going to be making another appearance soon. In a giveaway with another company. So, stay tuned for that.
Interesting.
Yes, I will tell Jeff and Barry offline. Everybody else will only have to wait just a little bit longer, but I think it's going to be pretty fun.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So should we wrap up?
We should.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're about almost at 2.5 hours, everyone. So,
we're having a good time.
Yeah, always having a good time. Having fun and communicating with people. Just so you know, we do record live. We don't necessarily record at the same time all the time. So if you follow us and hit that bell on YouTube, on Premium Edition Games YouTube channel, you can literally be notified when we pop up live, and you can come and talk sass about every time JP says I got. Make sure you pick up your copy of Super Blood Hockey if you've been waiting in your stateside. Shipping is affordable. It's down around $5 almost everywhere in the U.S. And then it's about to be the same affordable shipping, around $5.70 or so, very soon with our exclusive international and Canadian distributor that'll be launched soon. We're definitely going to be having a PR campaign behind us, so that way everybody knows, and JP will be sure to email our entire mailing list, which includes everybody who's bought a copy, so you can have your opportunity, if you did get a copy and you're international, to get your the same shipping that everybody else gets. We never say, oh, you're locked in. No, we don't make money on shipping, everyone. You will get the copy for the same price.
We take care of everybody.
We will take care of you. That is one of our goals with the company. Is we're just fans and collectors like everyone else. We're gonna do right by y'all.
Yep.
So you can get it at premiumeditiongames.com. As for me, you can find me on Facebook and the Twitter at Hagen's Alley, and at Hagen's Alley Books on Instagram. Before I get to Barry, Switch Collector Volume 1 is almost out of stock. It is both at premiumeditiongames.com and hagensalley.com. I think there's around 30 copies left, which is insane.
Going fast.
Volume 2 is coming soon. Spoilers. Very soon. Finished the formatting last weekend.
You know what? Can I ask a question to everybody now about the book?
Sure.
Okay, so we're having another, JP's Collector Corner making a return. What does everybody want to see in it? I can't promise I'll do everything, but if there's feedback, there's something that you want to see preserved in these books, why don't you leave us a message, contact us on social media, let us know what you want to see, and then all of us.
For example, if you want a JP's I Got section, we can do an I Got section, or more importantly, I think JP especially for year 2, the first half of it. My recommendation for JP is the impact of introducing the limited companies to the Switch, and
hopefully
a
those
little
companies,
write-up on that.
hopefully those companies will want to talk with us and we can interview them for the book as well, because I'd love to get their take on it.
Yeah, because like there's just only a couple limited companies that came out during the first half, and you have your Super Rare and Limited Run, as well as East Asia Soft, and that's like about it for the limiteds. I am doing like what number it is in the metadata section, so like you'll know which number release it is.
Yeah, nice.
It's fun.
I like
it's been
that.
fun to do. But anyways, and Barry.
You can find me over at Twitter at Hawk Hellfire. You can find me on Facebook and on YouTube at Nintendo Fuse. JP?
All right, so you can find me at JP Switchmania on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, jpswitchmania.com for no more reviews. We actually recently shut down the reviews for our site. So now the site is primarily going to be used for the weekly release posts and some other updates. But if you want to be kept in the loop of all the games coming out, see what they look like, know when pre-orders are starting, JP Switchmania on Twitter is your best bet for that, and my weekly release post on the website. You can also find me at Premium Edition Games. So that's Premium Edition 1 on Twitter. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. We're on Discord. And then we have our website where we have blog posts and whatnot. You can sign up for our newsletter at premiumeditiongames.com. And of course, you can pre-order Super Blood Hockey right now physically for the Switch. We are closing the pre-orders on September 22nd, so please don't miss it. And thanks for supporting us.
And thanks everybody for listening, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Have a good one.